Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide. Gonna find you. Gonna find you. Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide. Gonna find you and take it slowly.
It's a beautiful evening here in Boston for the 2018 home opener for UMass Boston women's soccer, and for Babson a little bit closer to home as they play their 5th consecutive road game to start the 2018 season before they open up home play over the weekend. My name is Seth Dorensky, joined by Gigi Braga, a former player with the Beacons, in fact a player who got very familiar with Babson last year, having to fill in net. Gigi, this is not going to be an easy matchup for UMass Boston, a premier program out of the new MAC conference, and a team that not only scores goals, but typically scores goals in bunches, beating the Beacons in each of the past 3 years by multiple goals, and a team that UMass Boston has never beaten in 4 prior meetings.
Well, Seth, when you talk about elite soccer in the New England region, Babson's really up there with like MIT, Springfield, these teams that really show up to play, in UMass Boston. They know that. You know, they got shut out the past 3 years. Unfortunately, I was there for 2 of those. And like you said, Babson, they love to score. They love to be very disciplined. They love to possess the ball. They have an amazing goalkeeper in Gierschik, and she's going to really settle down their defense, settle them down. And once they get the ball in the attacking third, UMass Boston's got to be ready for the pressure that Babson's going to apply to them.
These two teams going slightly different ways in the early going. Babson faced a pair of teams out in Illinois that they just absolutely steamrolled, wins of 5-0 and 4-1 over Illinois College and Aurora University. In fact, Babson in their opener outshot Illinois College 42-1. The Beacons on the other side lost their first 2 games, but just came off a tournament championship of their own, defeating Western New England and Elms University 2-0 and 2-1. So the Beacons come in at 2-2, Babson at 2-1-1. They tied Bowdoin in a game they were outshot 20-3, and then suffered their first setback of the year against another Little East Conference program in Eastern Connecticut State Saturday, a 3-0 defeat in which they gave up 3 goals in a matter of 11 minutes. Take a look at the stats, and Babson, the numbers look a little bit better because of that hot start, but you're going to see 2 offenses that like to put up a lot of shots, will look to push the pace. This should be a game, despite the very strong defenses, where we see a goal, maybe even 2 or 3.
Absolutely, and you get teams in UMass Boston bringing in so many freshmen that love to shoot the ball. They love to shoot it. Grace McGettrick loves to take a shot from outside the box. Jaclyn O'Grady known to take a shot from 40 yards out if you give her the space to do it. Babson College is obviously no different than UMass Boston in that category, and it's going to be a really big test for the goalkeepers, especially freshman goalkeeper Abby McCulloch, who was the LEC goalkeeper of the week this past week, putting up amazing numbers in the tournament that they had this past weekend, but going against a goalie like Gierschik, who had, I believe her goal against average her sophomore year was below 1. You know, she is an amazing goalkeeper. It's her senior year. She's going to give everything that she has for this Babson College soccer team right now, and it's really going to be a test for the UMass Boston forwards to see how they can beat Gierschik.
Madison Gierschik, the senior out of Hopkinton, Massachusetts, has played every minute each of the last 2 years. Abby McCulloch, the Beacons freshman keeper, has played every minute this season. Right now we're going to take a look at the highlights from the Beacons' win on Sunday. They trailed 1-0 going in to the final 10 minutes and scored 2 goals in the final 6:43 to earn a 2-1 comeback victory over Elms College up in Bangor, Maine.
Today's
Kane
game
is in the
features
building.
the visiting Blazers of Elm College and the Beacons of UMass Boston. Now let's meet the starters for the visiting Blazers of Elm
Those were the highlights from the Beacons' 2-1 win over Elms on Sunday. Our player to watch today is the MVP of the tournament, Cal Pitts. Caroline, her full name, but she likes to go by the shortened version. Out of Marshfield, Mass., one of the freshman midfielders who has earned a spot in the Beacons lineup. They've been going with anywhere between 9 and 10 freshmen in the starting lineup every game. The Beacons have 18 new faces on this year's team, 15 freshmen, 3 transfers, and just 6 returners on the roster. Pitts out of Marshfield, Mass. was a soccer and basketball player, and she scored the game-winning goal in the final 2 minutes to lift the Beacons to the 2-1 victory. She'll be a player who will be sitting right in front of the Beacons back four, trying to limit this Babson offense that, again, scored 9 goals in their first 2 games, but has been held scoreless the last 2. Babson looking to break out before they have their home opener on Saturday, a big game against nationally ranked Brandeis University. And Pitts is a player who, she's not going to do it all herself, but it's been a really nice relationship in the midfield between the combination of Pitts, Crawford, and when Jalila Ocampo has been playing the midfield position, those 3 have made up a really nice midfield 3 for the Beacons.
Well, with the loss of Kate Levitt this past year due to injury, we don't know if Kate's going to come back yet this season, but Cal Pitts came in and kind of found herself in the Beacons midfield. She plays a really good defensive midfield. She works really well with Kenya Wade and Carly Fahey or whoever's playing in their center back for them. She's kind of going to be the anchor a little bit in their midfield, where to give Allie Crawford a little bit more freedom to kind of go up. She does have to cover a lot of ground, though. But Pitts filling in pretty well for the loss of Kate Levitt, who was such a dynamic player for the Beacons, who could really work with the long ball, but Pitts seemed to doing her job for Coach Amy Zombek right now. And I mean, scoring a goal in the tournament, the game-winning goal, even as a freshman. I actually talked to her yesterday about it, and she was like, I had no idea it even went in. She was like, I just kind of kicked it, hoped for the best, and now here she is, our player to watch.
3 freshmen factored into that play. In fact, 4 if you include Mary Jo Murphy, who drew the foul. It was Carly Fahey, the center back, taking the free kick. Grace McGettrick diving in front of the loose ball, and Cal Pitts putting it in. Let's take a look around Beaconville. A busy night tonight. The men's soccer team playing not too far away. They're at Emerson College, heavily out shooting the Lions. Still looking for that first goal and their second win on the year. Volleyball will be back in action tomorrow. In fact, they'll drive right by Babson on their way to Wellesley, a 7 p.m. match. And women's tennis opens their season on Saturday when they host Southern Maine at 1 p.m. Quick look around the rest of the conference. Southern Maine continues to win. Very good start for the Huskies, who have gone through a couple rough years. They earn a 1-0 win over Salem State. Bridgewater State cruising against Rhode Island College, up 3-0 at half. A couple of good games later on tonight. Springfield at UMass Dartmouth. EastCon at Brandeis. EastCon just beat Babson, and Brandeis, well, they'll see Babson on Saturday, so certainly something to watch for those Babson fans. And really quickly, looking ahead, UMass Boston starting to see a little bit of more home cooking. The Beacons will be at Wentworth, a short drive away from UMass Boston, but then they host Emmanuel College and former associate head coach Greg Vizino next Tuesday, and open conference play right here at home next Saturday against Western Connecticut State, the reigning conference champs. Right now, while we've got a moment before the national anthem, let's take a look at an interview I had with head coach Amy Zombek about this past weekend and about what the Beacons need to do tonight to earn their first ever result against these Babson College Beavers. Joined by head coach Amy Zombek after the Beacons won the 13th annual Courtyard by Marriott Classic. Coach, an 0-2 start, and then you were able to get 2 wins in 2 different ways. Why were you so successful this weekend?
You know, we have a young team, and we're still building and working, and we're continuing to make ourselves better every day. And these girls, they have a lot of that they push through. It's always tough to play back-to-back, but to get 2 wins out of it was a great result for us.
One of the fun things was seeing 4 different players score goals after going goalless the first 2 games, and neither were your starting center forwards. How big is that to know that maybe those players who have been looking for goals and haven't been able to find them don't have as maybe much pressure on their backs?
I don't think anyone, I hope, is feeling a lot of pressure to have to score goals. I think we're a well-balanced team this year, and that there's going to be, you just don't know on any given day who's going to score goals for us, I feel like, because everybody from the backs to the midfielders to the forwards are all contributing and getting forward into the attack for us.
Speaking of the goals, 2 goals in the final 7 minutes in that de facto championship game against Elms College. What was the message to the team at halftime? I know you were at 0-0 then, and then as you were trying to scream out instructions from the sideline down 1-0, one of the more impressive comebacks for this program over the past couple of years.
So big thing at halftime was just to keep our composure, keep trying to move the ball around and play quickly, along with taking more touches forward as opposed to back. I thought we were resetting plays quite a bit throughout the first half, and I thought we could generate more going forward if we could have a better first touch going forward, and they certainly executed that. We put a lot of pressure on Elms, and then, they just kept going, so.
Finally, tonight's matchup, a very good Babson team who's had your number the last couple of years. What do you have to do tonight to get a result?
Again, I think we just have to come out ready to play. We need to continue to build and work. It's going to be our pace of play, our transitional game, whether we can get forward quickly, and as well when we lose the ball, how quickly can we get back and be organized to defend.
That was an interview I had earlier today with UMass Boston head coach Amy Zombek. The earliest the Beacons will have played a home game in quite a while. UMass Boston has not played a home game before the 15th of September since 2014. Last year it really hurt the Beacons, who again had a young team. They started the year 0-8-1. And in fact lost their first 6 on the road, all 9 games coming on the road. You were part of that team. This year's team already starting to figure things out, and certainly getting a chance to play in front of some of their fellow student athletes, their parents. It makes a difference when you have a chance to play on campus rather than having to get on a bus and play in front of the opposing team's fans.
Well, when you get told at the beginning of the season that you're only having 5 home games out of the 20 that you play in the regular season, you kind of sit there and you're like, oh. Give mom and dad a call, especially if you live far away, and be like, hey, we're only having 5 games. Better come to one of these. But definitely playing on the road is a little bit tougher. You got to get on the bus, and that kind of slows your momentum down a little bit. The Beacons obviously off to a hot start. Maybe they like playing on the road this year, but getting a home game in today, I'm sure they're going to love it. They're really excited. They're hyped for it. And hosting Babson, who is a huge threat in the New England region, is going to be a great start to the Beacons. It's going to be great to see how they handled this amount of pressure from a team like Babson.
The Beacons play 5 of their next 7 at home after 4 in a row on the road. Babson on the other side, this is the closest they've been to home. Started the year out in Illinois, played up in Maine against Bowdoin, and then down at Eastern Connecticut State, about a 2-hour drive away. This one just a half-hour drive away from campus. They'll be at home for 5 of their next 6. Really quickly, let's bring you the starters for these two teams. We've already talked about Madison Gierschik, the senior out of Hopkinton, Mass., making her 50th career appearance in net for the Beavers. Has played every minute of each of the past 2 years. Maite Gutierrez, freshman back out of Coral Gables, Florida, makes her 5th appearance for start. Catherine Cullen scored a goal against the Beacons a year ago. She'll get the start, a senior out of Newton, Mass. Caitlin Korzik, freshman midfielder out of Whitman, Mass., makes her 5th start in 5 appearances. Julia Janikis, a junior out of Coventry, Rhode Island, gets the start, making her 5th start of the year, has 1 assist to her name. Emma Deneen's one of the names to know. Senior captain out of Hinsdale, Illinois, a chance for her to go home to start the season. She was the second-team all-conference player a year ago and has a goal and an assist thus far. Catherine Ryan, a freshman forward out of Winchester, Mass., time for the team lead with 2 goals. Julia Lindsay, a senior back out of Newton, Massachusetts, makes her 5th start of the year. Maggie McCabe, the lone returning midfielder for this team, she'll make her 5th start of the season. Jessica DeLuca, senior midfielder out of Sudbury, Mass., ends up making her 5th start. And Maya King, one of the team's center backs who was a question mark coming in, she'll get the start, a junior back out of Auburndale, Massachusetts, making her 23rd career start. For the Beavers, wearing the green tops and green shorts with the white trim and white numbers. The Beacons in their home whites with the blue numbers going from left to right. And really quickly, we'll run down the names of those Beacons. You can just assume they're a freshman unless we say otherwise. Kenya Wade gets the start as a center back. She'll play with Carly Fahey, who just sent that pass into the midfield. The outside backs for the Beacons, Taylor Bilyak. She's a junior transfer in her 2nd season with the Beacons after starting her career at the Division II level. Grace McGettrick takes a left-footed shot, and it's slowed down but left there almost for Hannah Nolan. And a very nervy play there from Madison Gierschik. Really didn't seemed to have a good idea of how quickly that ball was traveling, and it leads to an early corner kick.
Well, we talked about Grace McGettrick loving to take shots, and you see it there. She was outside the box and kind of just takes her chances, sees that Gierschik is playing a little bit off of her line. Gierschik with a little touch that doesn't seem much like her, I guess. First touch of the game, see where it goes.
Allie Crawford boots this one over the head of McGettrick. Ball is loose. Two Beacons there. Ball's booted out towards midfield. Skips over the foot of a Babson player. Biliak sends it in on net, and it's easily handled there by Gierschik. So the Beacons had a couple of hacks at that ball. Finishing off the Beacons starting lineup, I mentioned Biliak, who was the player who just sent that shot on net. On the opposite side for the Beacons, it's Mary Jo Murphy, one of their highest touted freshmen, scored 38 goals a season ago at her high school, but will actually play outside back for the Beacons on the far side. Caroline Pitts and is sitting in the back with Jaclyn O'Grady. It looks like the Beacons are going to almost play two tiers of two in the midfield, a 4-4-2, or even a 4-5-1.
I believe they're playing a 4-3-3, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're trying to have Caroline Pitts as their defensive center mid and Jackie and Allie as their two offensive. You see there a great pass from
finds Crawford, looking for McGettrick, who steps over the ball, looking for the right-footed shot. It's a good look off the crossbar. Ball still loose, picked up by the outside back, and it's kicked in by Ocampo. A second look, and she finds the side netting. So the Beacons, who did not record a shot against Babson back in 2016 and have never scored a goal against the Beavers, have had 3, maybe 4 great looks here in the opening 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
And you see assistant coach Gabby Kenyon over there on the sideline for the Beacons, clapping her hands, giving Grace McGettrick a nice round of applause there. That's a beautiful shot from her. You're going to see her keep taking those throughout the game.
Crawford on the corner kick again. This time it's not quite far enough. Handled there by O'Grady, who will go back out wide for Allie Crawford. Part of that 3 in the midfield. Tries to slide it, but it's picked up by a Beaver off the turf, and they send it forward. Still looking to settle into this game is Babson, who has seen a lot more offense from UMass Boston than they've had to face the last couple of seasons. First touch for Abby McCulloch, the Beacons freshman keeper out of Weymouth, Mass. Attended Archbishop Williams High School, where she was named the Central Catholic League Goalie of the Year. Reigning Little East Conference Goalie of the Week after going 2-1-1 a week ago. 16 saves on 18 shots. We've got an early foul against the Beavers, and it's the first time we've mentioned our refereeing crew. It's a rarity here in college soccer, an all-woman crew. Leah Hayes is our head ref. The two linesmen, Michelle Began and Kara Pember. That one's booted out of bounds by the Beavers. So the Beacons midfield 3 as we finally get that wrapped up. It's Caroline Pitts, Jaclyn O'Grady, and Allie Crawford's the one who's sitting a little bit further forward, handling the ball here. To the near side, it's Hannah Nolan, who had that pass go just behind her. Grace McGettrick will be the center of the Beacons 3 up top, and on the outside, it's Delilah Ocampo, who had 2 good looks at net earlier on. So the Beacons in the home whites for the first time this year at home. They did wear the home whites, I believe, on Saturday against Western New England in that tournament where 3 of the 4 teams were away from home. Ocampo trying to slide it forward for McGettrick, can't quite find her. Beacons had 4 goals over the weekend from 4 different players, none of them their center forwards. Grace McGettrick and Lindsay Buscarian, the Wheaton College transfer, have been splitting time this season up top for the Beacons, who also have Morgan Palmer and Grace Oliver. It's really a rotation of 6, maybe 7 forwards for the Beacons who rotate in, just trying to keep fresh legs and really trying to badger the defense of their opposition, as that one is stolen away by Murphy. Toe pokes it ahead looking for Ocampo, but it's settled by the Beavers.
And Babson really likes to, they play that one-touch soccer where it's quick transition of the ball, and the Beacons got to beware to not catch them in the counterattack.
Crawford for McGettrick, who immediately tries to slide it back across for Hannah Nolan. Jaclyn O'Grady rushing forward, and she'll touch it out of bounds off the foot there of a Beaver. That was Julia Janikis, the left back for Babson. Hannah Nolan fighting against Janikis. Nolan loses her footing there, and it's stolen away by the Beavers. Working the sideline, it's the yellow line if you're not quite sure. There's quite a few on this field that also serves as a lacrosse field, a rugby pitch at points, and a football field here in the fall. Tons of time for McCulloch, and she will send that one on a hop for Nolan. Nolan has a runner, but she is struggling to get around the body of Babson's Janikis.
And you're going to see sorry to cut you off there, Seth, but you're going to see UMass Boston play that a lot, especially with the speed and endurance that both Biliak and Murphy have on either sides of their outside backs. That overlapping run to Hannah Nolan and Jaclyn O'Grady on the other side as well.
O'Grady fighting off a defender, Maggie McCabe. Pair of upperclassmen who have been through these battles a couple times between UMass Boston and Babson. This is the 5th meeting in 5 years. Babson has 3-0-1 all time. The first meeting ended in a 0-0 overtime tie to start the season. The last 3 years, Babson has defeated the Beacons by an 8-0 combined score. Ocampo sliding it back for Murphy, who is very dynamic for an outside back. A tremendous goal scorer at Burncoat Regional High School. Ocampo loses her footing along the sideline, and a chance for Babson to send it forward over the head of Pitts, and they find the center forward there who will have to bring it back into the midfield. It was a nice play by Catherine Ryan with the player on her back. Crawford, the steal, has O'Grady. O'Grady, one of the top scorers in program history for McGettrick and right back. Now it's Nolan looking for the left-footed shot. Instead, she'll slide it back for Crawford on the turf, and Ocampo was making the run but couldn't quite get there.
And that's good. That's good soccer there. You love to see O'Grady making that run. As a center midfielder, she seems to be working really well with Grace McGettrick up top there. But if I'm Hannah Nolan, I'm looking to take that shot. Yeah, it is with your left foot. Maybe it's not that strong, but Allie Crawford had 2 players on her back, kind of didn't get the shot off that she really wanted.
Believe the Beacons were going to be ruled off sides if Ocampo had gotten to that, as the head ref was looking over to the near side AR. As Caroline Pitts fighting in the midfield there with Maite Gutierrez. She'll leave it back, and now Babson will play it out of the back. Turned over and picked up by Nolan. Nolan, though, can't keep control, and it's left off for Crawford. Crawford, one of several Beacons who played at Silver Lake Regional High School, place that has turned out quite a few very talented players. And you look at this Beacons roster alone, between Crawford in the midfield, Morgan Palma, a forward on this Beacons team, and Carly Fahey. It's a good core of this freshman class, who Palma had been starting until an injury, but we expect to see her today. Beacons also get back Grace Oliver, who did not play in that championship win on Sunday over Elms College.
And when you get Palma and Oliver back, they have such a great dynamic with Grace McGettrick. The 3 forwards, they've played together. They're from the same region, South Shore, and they play together. They played club soccer together for a couple of years, so you know they get that chemistry already.
Beacons have quite a few players who played at the same high schools together. I believe McGettrick actually played with Cal Pitts at Marshfield, and then you have the combination of Lindsay Buscarin and Jaclyn O'Grady, both from Cambridge, who played at Cambridge Ridge and Latin. But then you also have a lot of players.
Kenya Wade played at Cambridge Ridge and Latin. Jaclyn went to Braintree.
Correct. So I was off on my numbers there, but you also have quite a few players who played club together. So there's so many different connections to Beacons with a little bit of instant chemistry, which helps when you have 18 new faces. It's controlled here by Babson, slid across for Janikis, immediately met by Nolan, and she'll slide it all the way back for Gierschik, the senior who had a very nervy start to this game, nearly turned the ball over right in front of her own net, gave the Beacons an early corner, and she had to face quite a few shots in the opening minutes. The Beacons hitting the crossbar in a shot from Grace McGettrick and then earning 2 corners, as it's a rare touch here from McCulloch, who doesn't get a ton behind it. She doesn't have a big boot. That's one of the few qualities that McCulloch doesn't have for this Beacons team. A very good shot stopper and a very good communicator for a Beacons back line that's playing together for the first time. Bad turnover there by Wade. The tough shot, but right at McCulloch, and an easy save to deny Emma Deneen, the senior captain for Babson.
And you saw Abby McCulloch get that ball and immediately want to throw it out. You're not going to see her punt the ball very often. That's not how Coach Sombeck wants her distributing the ball.
Another turnover for Wade. The ball played forward this time for Ryan. Ryan trying to slide it back, and Deneen's shot is denied by Murphy. Great job sliding over from that outside back spot to get in the way of that look from Deneen.
I was just about to mention how Abby McCulloch didn't really have to make any plays so far in the 10 minutes that have gone by in this first half, but the Beacons defense lacking a little bit in communication there, and Babson playing really good soccer by dummying a pass a little bit and letting the player behind her get a shot at the ball. But Murphy, like you said, such a dynamic player, knows where to be on the field, and she just pinches in and denies that shot.
Maya King booting the ball forward. The Beacons will just send that one towards their own sideline. 34-34 to go in half number one. Beacons had the early chances. Babson with two good looks from Deneen back-to-back in the last minute as Fahey tries to slide it forward for Pitts, who loses that tackle. Controlled there by DeLuca, sending it back to the near side. Babson player trying to get it before it ends up in the corner. A nice job by Deneen to win that foot race. It'll be out of bounds off of Bilyak for a throw from the corner. Deneen leaving it back for Janikis. Pressure there by Nolan. A nice cutback. She'll send a left-footed boot into the box, but McCulloch aware to it. And she will rush out and immediately make that throw, finding the head of Crawford in the path of Pitts. Pitts gets some help tapping it forward from McGettrick, who couldn't quite slide that one around. And Maya King, the junior center back, able to clear that one out of trouble for a Beacons throw.
And the Babson forwards and midfielders have such a good dynamic of working together that they had 6 forwards in the Beacons defending third, and the Beacons had, I want to say, like 8 or 9 players, and Babson still found a way to get a throw-in or a corner or whatever it may be. They work so well together to keep that ball in play that they don't need that many players in their attacking third for them to make chances happen. Well,
that's one of the reasons that Amy Zombek said that transition would be so big for the Beacons if they could catch Babson pushing numbers forward. O'Grady able to find McGettrick a chance for the Beacons to push numbers forward. McGettrick racing towards the 18, has 2 players making a run. O'Grady cuts back, and her attempted cross is knocked away by Gutierrez and booted out by King towards midfield. Knocked down by Murphy, who's quite a prolific goal scorer despite the fact that she does play back. Able to slide it through. It's tapped away by a Beaver and handled there by Julia Lindsay. Lindsay for Janikis and forward for Deneen. Deneen, the only returning all-conference player on this team, although Jessica Fernandez, who will come off the bench today, the team leading 2 goals and 2 assists, was an all-conference forward as a sophomore. So just like UMass Boston, Babson has some good reserves coming off the bench to replace those starting forwards and keep the pressure on the Beacons D.
And you see number 12, Catherine Ryan, applying that pressure to the Beacons 2 center backs. And as a coach, that's exactly what you want from your center forwards. You want pressure being applied at all times to their backs.
Seems like both teams are playing a similar attack, if not the exact same system, as both teams going with 4 in the back. I believe Babson has a few more in the midfield than the Beacons. Playing it forward is Deneen. Deneen sliding it through has McCabe. And McCabe will try to go the opposite way, but Pitts with a thundering header back towards King. King on the turf. Able to connect with Korzik. Caitlin Korzik out of Whitman-Hanson High School. Pretty good high school soccer program. Ahead for Gutierrez. Gutierrez all the way on the far side, and that one's going to be played out of bounds for a Beacons goal kick.
And you love to see that there from Mary Jo Murphy, just knowing when to apply a little bit of pressure and when to know that the Beavers are going to run out of room, essentially. They've got no more turf to run on. And as you see a substitution here, you see Oliver coming in for Hannah Nolan. And it's interesting that Grace Oliver's playing on the right side because she is naturally a lefty. You would wonder to see if maybe her and Jalila Ocampo would switch within a couple of minutes.
Grace Oliver had been starting for the most part. One of the Beacons' more talented freshman forwards coming in. Freshman out of Rockland, Mass. Was an all-star and all-scholastic player at Rockland High School. Also played her club soccer with South Shore Select, and she is one of the Beacons' go-to free kick takers. So the Beacons do earn another corner kick or a free kick off a Babson foul. Expect Oliver with that left foot to be taking the free kick. She had an assist over the weekend and has been one of the Beacons' bigger threats throughout the season. Second on the team with her 10 shots behind McGettrick.
And another thing you gain from Oliver being here is a little bit more speed that Hannah Nolan brought and a little bit more foot skills coming onto the field. And you see where Gierschik is right now. She's essentially at her own 20-yard line. So if Grace McGettrick, who likes to shoot, and Oliver likes to shoot as well, can get that shot off and try to get Gierschik a little off her line, it's an easy goal for the Beacons.
Well, you also, it's interesting to see Oliver, who did miss that game on Sunday, apparently is pretty healthy because she's coming on with 30 minutes left in this half. You'd hope that she could stay on for most of it, if not all the 30 minutes, as the Beacons don't have too many more players off the bench. They do have Palma coming off an injury and Katie Pasquale, but that's really as deep as the Beacons typically go with their outside forwards. At some point we'll see Lindsay Buscarin replace McGettrick. There's a good run from a Babson player, but McCulloch comes out and will pick that ball up just before Babson's Catherine Cullen could get to it. A very good run in behind the Beacons defense.
I got a little shaky there watching Abby make that play, because if I'm Catherine Cullen, I'm kind of just sticking my foot out there and seeing if I can get the ball, maybe a deflection off of McCulloch
There's a
or
nice
whatever it may be.
touch from McGettrick trying to play Oliver, but on the other side, Gierstick comes out a little bit more confidently than we saw her early in the game. O'Grady putting pressure on the ball. That should be a Beacons throw, but they're going to give it to Babson as she was pressuring the back of Julia Lindsay. 28:56 to go. Closing in on the midway point of this first half. 0-0. The Beacons had the early chances. Babson's had a couple good ones since. But really, neither team's goalie has had to produce an excellent save to this point. It's Crawford able to dangle her way around a defender, trying to lead Ocampo out wide, but that one's cleared away back towards midfield where it's picked up by Cullen for Babson. Cullen trying to get a turn, a nice pass for Korzik. Korzik across midfield, looking for options. She'll play it out wide. That was close to an offside. And coming back to help out her defense is Pitts to force the turnover. Murphy right along the sideline for Ocampo, who's tied up with a Beaver. Gutierrez ends up winning it for Babson and back into their own half. Well, they'll slide it back for, I believe that's King.
What you love to see from the Beacons here, and such a difference watching them this year than watching them last year, is how they settle the ball. They play so calm, even out of the back. They're not just booting it and telling their forwards, hey, go chase this ball 20 yards. They're playing it and they're possessing it.
Another good look coming for Catherine Ryan in tight, and a great clearance there by the freshman Kenya Wade, able to tap that one away. Very good awareness. The Beacons did give up a penalty kick against Western New England. I believe it was Wade who was actually called for that foul, but an aggressive move to clear that ball away and avoid giving up a shot inside the 6.
And on a play like that, and you saw Allie Crawford really wanting to get onto that counterattack, there were 4 Beacons against 3 Beavers on the defense. As you see here, Jaclyn O'Grady going for the ball up, and you want to see how her and Grace McGettrick work well together. They both have so much speed that you wonder if Allie Crawford just maybe has to chip the ball over their defense to get Ocampo or McGettrick ahead of the defenders.
On the other side, it's picked up by McCulloch. And as you mentioned, McCulloch doesn't like to boot the ball. Typically, we'll try to throw. This time, she'll send a line drive that only makes it as far as the left foot of Deneen. Deneen with Biliak getting back in a defensive position, trying to make a run along the sideline. Cuts back, looking for options. A cross that ends up staying on the turf, and it's cleared out of bounds. But Biliak is a little bit slow to get up for the Beacons. The nice thing is UMass Boston has depth this year. That's the other big thing. The last time the Beacons were home, senior day against Western Connecticut State a season ago, they had 14 available field players. Today there were over 20 players warming up just amongst the field players. So Amy Zombek has quite a few options coming off of her bench, and she's used every single field player this season who's been eligible. There's a couple players who are still banged up, but it's been nice to see the Beacons have those options after really being short on defensive options and really substitutes in every way at the end of last season.
And you love that as a coach, not only for the depth of your bench, but also the competition that it creates within players. You know, you obviously want to grab the start at every game, and it just creates that little competitive atmosphere that you love to see on a team.
25:48 to go in half number 1, just about 20 minutes in, still 0-0. Controlled by Maggie McCabe. Now it's sliding it forward. Ryan is tangled up with Fahey. Ryan, a right-footed shot, and she scores. Able to hold off Fahey and puts it in back post, and that's a beautiful move by Catherine Ryan, the freshman out of Winchester, who scores her team-leading 3rd goal of the year. And this is probably the closest she's been to playing in a game close to Winchester as a collegiate player.
And you see there, Carly Fahey, not much she could have done. She tried to hold her off. You're inside the 18. You don't want to put too much body on the player. You might draw a foul there if she goes down. But essentially what you want to do as a defense is not even allow Ryan to get that look. Because if you're going to get that look, she's 9 out of 10 times going to beat the defense because that's what you're taught to do as a forward.
Well, yeah, really nice job of also keeping Fahey off the ball as she was able to use her body to shield her without being called for a foul on her own. And Babson has certainly opened up some more options here over the past few minutes. The assist will go to Jessica DeLuca, the senior midfielder out of Sudbury, Mass., who picks up her second assist on the season. So Catherine Ryan gives her team the lead just about 20 minutes in. And now the Beacons, who still have never scored a goal against this Babson College program, will have to play from behind. They did that against Elms College, gave up a goal in the 70th minute, came back and scored 2 in the final 10 minutes. But this is a young team facing easily the best team they faced this year. It'll be interesting to see how they respond after getting off on the right foot, but being unable to score against Babson.
The most important thing right now for the Beacons is to not let up. You let one goal go in, and the most important thing right now is that you play hard soccer for another 24 minutes left in this half because the game's not over. But if you let down, you let the Beavers score another goal.
There's a tight look as McCulloch almost punched that into her own net, able to put that one over the goal line. But realistically, the Beacons seem to be giving way too much space. It's a good look for Maggie McCabe. It's very easy for Babson at this point to 2-3 passes to open up the Beacons' D's. This will be the first corner of the game for the Beavers.
And like I said, you don't want to get scored on twice in less than 5 or 10 minutes of each goal happening. That's the most important thing for the Beacons right now. Settle the game down a little bit. Don't let Babson score again.
It'll be McCabe to take the corner kick. A low one bouncer right at the near post. Left-footed shot back post just over the head of Cullen, who was trying to head one home. And it'll stay at 1-0. And that's what the Beacons did in their season opener. They kept Johnson and Wales scoreless for the first 86 minutes and then gave up a second goal. But in that case, the Beacons were pressing so hard for an equalizer that it wasn't as drastic. In this case, you really don't want to find yourselves behind 2-0 still here in the first half as O'Grady picks up the loose ball. Way too strong there for McGettrick and an easy play for Gierschick and the Babson defense. UMass Boston dominated the first 5 minutes of this game. Had 3, maybe 4 golden chances to score. McGettrick hit the crossbar. The Beacons had a couple of looks that were either just wide or saved by Gierschick, but since then it's been mostly Babson. Beacons have been able to control the ball a little bit, but haven't been able to get many looks on Gierschick, the senior keeper for this Babson team, as the Beacons will go back to the bench.
Right now, the only trouble the Beacons essentially are having, their biggest trouble right now is just connecting passes. They get 1 or 2 passes, and then they either give the ball away or they boot it or the ball goes out of bounds. They put a little too much on it. They need to start settling down and connecting passes. Look for the openings that the Beavers are going to give you in their defense.
Babson playing it back and forth between Janikes and Lindsay. A little bit of pressure on Janikes, but she's able to slide it over for Maya King, who was a bit of a question mark to start this game. Head coach Nellie Penault wasn't sure if she was going to be able to go, but she's been in there and played every minute. So O'Grady in a bit of a battle there. She's taken down, but able to find McGettrick. No advantage play by the referee, who didn't see it as a foul either way, but Babson able to steal it back, and now they'll look to counter. It's DeLuca, who had an assist on the first goal. DeLuca punches that one forward looking for Deneen. McCulloch coming out, and McCulloch unable to hold on, but it goes off of her, off of Deneen, and out of bounds for a Beacons goal kick.
And you see Jaclyn O'Grady hurting a little bit there. And last year she did suffer a PCL injury, which, if a lot of people don't know, it's unlike the ACL where you can just get surgery for it and get right back on the field within a couple months of rehab. In PCL, there's no surgery for it. All you got to do is rehab it for 9 to 12 months and hope that you don't injure it again. So any little thing that happens to O'Grady, can't really blame her for going down there, as her knee's probably still a little bit sensitive. That the Beacons are going to hurt a little bit without her aggressiveness in the midfield right now.
Well, O'Grady is replaced by Shannon Roseman, one of the 3 transfers on this Beacons team. Played her freshman year at New England College, scored 2 goals, and then scored the Beacons' second goal against Western New England the other day. It's Morgan Palma, the other substitute on for Jalila Ocampo. Palma with it outside. Palma trying to cross it in. McGettrick's there, and she's unable to put the ball on target as Gierschick, again, overruns the ball. Does not look all that confident, but able to pick up the loose ball. A beautiful ball played in by Palma looking for McGettrick.
And if you look closely there as Palma, maybe we have a better view than those at home, but she's got the foot skills. She's got a little bit of that, the scissor, and great tackle there by Grace McGettrick. But she got a little bit of the little foot action going on, trying to deke out the defender to get that space for a lefty cross.
Controlled here by Babson, looking for that back post, and another nice run from Catherine Cullen. The Beavers are finding the holes in this Beacons defense. A nice job by McCulloch coming out as they've opened up UMass Boston's defense that involves 3 freshmen and 1 junior. Played forward for Palma, who just had that nice cross. She has 2 defenders around her. McGettrick and Oliver trying to make a run into the box. Palma will send it well behind the net, out for a goal kick. And the Beacons' other 2 forwards looked a little bit tired after that first run, as they weren't really providing her the kind of options she had just about 30 to 45 seconds previously.
What the Beacons need to do right now is their midfield needs to stay more central. You see Allie Crawford get pulled out a little too much, or you see Roseman get dragged out a little bit too much, and that's where Babson's 3 forwards just take advantage of going 4v3 on the Beacons' back line.
Played out of bounds for a Babson throw. Babson leading 1-0 on the goal scored just about 20 minutes in by Catherine Ryan. We have 19:06 to go in the first half here on the Beacons Broadcast Network. Beacons looking for their first ever result against Babson. 0-3-1 all time. UMass Boston playing their home opener here in 2018. Earliest home opener they've had since 2014. Slid forward, a perfect one-touch ball for McCabe. McCabe trying to find Deneen, and that's a dangerous back pass from Bilyak that'll do the trick. Now we've got a stoppage, and it's going to be an offside. The near AR was signaling because the far AR was doing it and just trying to help out our head official, Leah Hayes, who's done a decent job with this game. No real controversial plays one way or another. On the free kick, it will be McCulloch aiming for the head of Oliver, but it goes over both Oliver's head and Janikie's for a throw-in on the near side. Babson 2-1-1, UMass Boston 2-2. Beavers have not won in their last 2 outings. The Beacons have won 2 in a row. In fact, won Saturday and Sunday, looking to make it 3 in a row, and for the first time being over 500 in a few years. Oliver fighting there with Janikie's, and it's played forward. A nice job by Deneen to provide an option. Now McGettrick with numbers pushing forward, and her pass just in front of Palma, cleared away.
And now you get the Beavers going on the counterattack. They're moving forward with momentum right now, and that's a great play by Allie Crawford there as we see a whistle.
I think we have an offside on Babson. Again, the Beavers caught for the second time in the span of about a minute. Still 17:20 to go here in this first half. It started so promisingly for UMass Boston. They've had some hiccups since. But this Beacons team, no matter the result of this game, one way or another, showing that they were going to be a much more competitive side, as Oliver's going to be whistled offsides, coming back to the ball there.
I don't know if I exactly agree with that. She come back, maybe I didn't see it, but she come back for that ball. It looked like she was a little bit in front of Janikie's as Kenya Wade kicked that.
Well, we don't have replay, and either way, it's not going to change the call one way or another. McCulloch will come out to retrieve this one. Abby forced to make 1 or 2 good saves. Didn't really have a chance on the lone goal scored by Catherine Ryan. Kenya Wade coming out. She'll be replaced there by Cal Pitts, or at least that's Pitts' responsibility. It's turned over, and now Wade has to get back on defense. Beacons have not been able to unlock the Babson defense like the way they did in the first 2 minutes. That pass from Deneen, way too strong, looking for Ryan on that diagonal run. And it's McCulloch calling out instructions.
And with these 25 minutes of play into the first half, you realize that the Beavers are strictly playing through balls. They want to rely on the speed that their forwards have against the Beacons back line. They're playing through balls. And the Beacons back line, they're playing a little too flat. You see Carly Fahey and Kenya Wade, they should be a little bit more deep one for the other. Rather, they're playing a little too flat, and that's too easy as a forward to just beat your opposing defense.
Here it's Fahey working against the Babson forward, and they will give the Beacons the... No, they're going to give Babson the corner kick. A nice effort there by Ryan, who beat Fahey on the lone goal, able to win that battle again, and it'll be Deneen running over for the corner kick. Just the second of the day for the Babson Beavers, who had just 1 corner kick in their loss to Eastern Connecticut State after putting up 20 corner kicks in their first 3 games. It's going to be a short corner played for McCabe. McCabe right back out for Deneen, the left-footed in-swinger, and it's kicked away. A nice job covering that back post by, I believe, Morgan Palma. Kept alive, it's Janikis trying to slide it forward. There are two Babson players right at the top of the 18. Soft shot that'll go well wide from Ryan, who is bidding for a second of the game.
And that short corner there is something that coaches usually like to go to at the beginning of the game, trying to get the defense caught off guard a little bit there, and it worked. If it wasn't for Morgan Palma being there, that shot by Deneen was a bullet. And with so many players in front of Abby McCulloch, you wonder if she could have actually seen the ball, because a lot of times that's what your keeper is always like, I can't see. So many bodies in front of you, and essentially as an offense, that's what you want to do. You want to block the goalie from even getting a chance to see the ball. You get a shot from 20 yards out. It doesn't even have to be placed at an upper corner. It could be pretty much anywhere as long as the keeper can't see it. Probably a goal.
Deneen comes off for Naomi Oki, the junior midfielder out of Waimanalo, Hawaii. Don't see a lot of Hawaiian players out here at the Division III level in Massachusetts, but this is a Babson roster that really covers a lot of the United States. They even have a player from Toronto, Ontario. So it'll be Oki on the near side, filling that role that Deneen has done a really nice job of, trying to link up with Ryan.
On the game for Babson College, number 25, Naomi Oki.
On the far side, Mary Jo Murphy, able to win the challenge, overruns the ball, and then a nice turn, but a Babson player steps in front of Palma. It's handled here by Babson. Looks like it's Korzik. Korzik, the first touch from Oki, tries to turn and pass it, but it's an easy read for Wade. Plenty of time here. In fact, almost too much of it for Julia Lindsay as she's able to pass it forward for Maggie McCabe. And now Korzik will go out wide for Maya King. King looking for the long ball as Mary Jo Murphy will clear it back, but over the head of Shannon Rosemond. Interesting that the Beacons have tried to use their speed throughout this first half. Haven't seen Lindsay Buscarin, who typically sees about 50% of the playing time up top, who provides a very different look for UMass Boston, a bit more of a bruiser than the speed we see out of McGettrick. Now it's Palma, has McGettrick as the lone option, way too much behind it. So we've seen both keepers, but especially Madison Gierschik, be very aggressive coming off their lines. It's going to be very difficult to get a through ball unless it's perfectly weighted to one of your forwards. As the Beacons look like they will make another change, the next possible opportunity. Might be Jackie Turner over there on the far side, who has been playing predominantly at the outside back position. Likely be a sub for Taylor Biliak. Remember, players can come out in the first half and return for the second half, but they can't come back again in the first half. So typically coaches trying to keep their starters in for anywhere between 20 to 35 minutes and then bring on subs for the last 10 to give them a extended breather. Long ball headed down there by the Beavers. Julia Lindsay, now it's loose in the midfield. Shannon Roseman has options to her left and her right. Palma is there, but might have been offside either way. Knocked away. A nice defensive play by Maya King stepping forward.
And if the Beavers hurry, they can catch the Beacons on the counterattack.
Crawford and Pitts getting back to make it a back six for UMass Boston is coming out again on that shot that was going wide is McCulloch. She's had to do a lot more than she was required to do over the weekend when the Beacons outshot both Western New England and Elms College. An Elms game, the Beacons outshot Elms 20-5. And McCulloch was forced to see just 2 shots.
And we mentioned a lot about, well, at least I did, when you talk about Morgan Palma, Grace McGettrick, and Grace Oliver playing together up top and the chemistry that they have. And you get to see a little bit of their chemistry, but when they can't connect the passes, it's not really there. It's a beautiful run by Mary Jo Murphy on the opposite side, just couldn't get the cross off. But it really starts with the midfield. And if your midfield can feed the ball to one of those forwards, let them do the rest of the job. The problem that the Beacons are having right now is that their midfield can't find the feet of their forwards.
Crawford is brought down just about the 20-yard line on the football field. That's realistically about 25 to 27 yards out, and immediately Oliver is going to come over. If this is a shot, it's likely going to be Oliver. If this is a pass, it's more likely to be Crawford. And even potentially one will run over the ball, leaving it for the others. The Beacons will have four bodies along the top of the 18 on the near side. McGettrick, Pitts, Rosemond, and Palma. The righty is Crawford. The lefty is Oliver. It will be Crawford leaving it off for Mary Jo Murphy. Couldn't quite tee up a shot, and now going the other way with it after doing a great job of pressuring the ball is Maite Gutierrez. Actually, Julia Janicki's, these Babson numbers, a little bit difficult to read with their front looking at us, as that was number 9 rather than number 3. And there's Janicki's once again, but that was a terrific play by the defender to step forward, and now Oliver has Palmer rushing forward if she can play the right ball. Looking back post, and it goes through both players, but the Beacons were offsides either way.
And going back to that free kick, that's a great opportunity for the Beacons there. Can't really blame them for trying that out. I'm sure Coach Zonbeck worked with them at practice. They usually have 3 or 4 free kick options. Unfortunate that it didn't work out this time, but now they know. Go on from there, and Grace Oliver on that cross, and even though Morgan Palma was offsides there, that's a beautiful run, and it all started again with Grace McGettrick getting that ball and playing it forward to Oliver to find Morgan.
Well, on that play, you really just need a little bit more weight behind the initial ball from Crawford to give Mary Jo Murphy a chance. Here the Beacons will go with 2 subs. It's going to be Bailey Rhodes and Jackie Turner checking in, Cal Pitts and Taylor Biliak coming off. So Turner will be the Beacons' new right back in this 4-3-3, and Rhodes will play as more of a defensive central midfielder in that middle 3. UMass Boston loses it out of bounds just in front of the Babson bench. The Beacons gave up a goal 20 minutes in, kept Babson scoreless since. They've started to pick up their play offensively. Still 9 minutes to go in this first half. We'll see if the Beacons can score that first ever goal against Babson.
And when you bringing in Bailey Rhodes, her and Cal Pitts play a similar style of soccer. They both play the same position, obviously, but you get a little bit of that control in the midfield.
Played out wide and just a bit too wide there for Catherine Cullen. Rhodes, an interesting story for a state school. She lists her hometown as Salt Lake City, Utah, but she played her high school soccer at O'Fallon Township High School in Illinois. Family is in the military, so she's moved a little bit all over the place, but the rare Utah, in fact, in the 6 years I've been here, I don't believe we've ever had a student athlete call Utah their home state, so that's a little bit of a cool one. Jackie Turner, a little bit more of your typical UMass Boston student athlete, played her high school soccer at Plymouth North High School, a place that has produced quite a few UMass Boston women's soccer players, as Oliver isn't going to be able to track this one down. Turner's put in a really good start to her freshman career, making her 5th appearance, including 2 starts, as she played really well in that 1-0 loss to Wellesley last week, another team out of the NUMAC.
I don't know, Seth. I would say UMass Boston's athletics are a little diverse. We got a couple of people from the New England region, but I mean, you have Alex Yee on the team who's from Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and I honestly forgot Wyoming was a state for a little bit there until she came along.
Well, Alex Yee, the problem is she hasn't been able to play in that first collegiate game, so I haven't been able to mention the Wyoming. But certainly the Beacons do recruit across the country, but a little bit less in some sports than others. The men's hockey team, the baseball team typically have players from all over the country, a little bit more than some of the other programs.
Men's soccer likes to go way outside of the country. You got a lot of guys from Brazil, from Cape Verde, and however Coach Jake Beverly can find his talent, I'm all for it. They're winning LACs. Keep it going.
The men's soccer team just took a 1-0 lead. It was Bruno da Silva who lists his hometown as Icara, Santa Catarina, Brazil, if I got that right.
There you go, Santa Catarina.
As the Beacons lead 1-0 late against Emerson College, one of the newest members of the New England Women's and Men's Athletic Conference that Babson is a part of. Chance here for Babson to throw in deep in the Beacons' end. It's over everyone and easily picked up by McCulloch with Kenya Wade just making sure a goalie got there. The deep boot downfield. McGettrick is giving chase, and it's tapped down. A nice play there from Julia Lindsay. Now the Beacons have numbers going the other way. It's picked up by Palma, met by Lindsay, left-footed shot, and picked up on a hop. A nice play. In fact, probably the best play we've seen from Gierzczyk, who had looked shaky early on.
You love to see that. That's a great press there by Shannon Roseman, just getting her toe on the ball to get the ball forward. Morgan Palma using her speed to get herself in front. But the problem with that play is Gierschik is such a good goalkeeper. We saw her have an iffy touch to start the game, but with the goalkeeper that talented, it's going to take a little bit more than a shot 18 yards out to try to beat her in that position. She had great positioning on that play.
Well, you'd also like to see a couple of runners for a potential rebound there just in case, as it's picked up by the Beacons defense. Fahey across for Wade. The option out wide is Jackie Turner, who will handle it, immediately met by Naomi Oki. Got another substitute coming in with 4:55 to go, and I believe this will be Lindsay Buscarin. Transfer out of Wheaton College, out of Cambridge, Massachusetts, making her 5th appearance of the season. She's got 4 shots, including 1 shot on goal. It started the past 2 games. For Babson, they'll make a change as well. Coming in for the first time is Olivia West. West immediately gets a touch out of Norwell, Mass, making her 40th career appearance. Crawford able to evade 1 defender, still with it. Left-footed ball looking for Palma. It's chested down by Babson and tapped forward, where Fahey will rush forward and play it into the midst of 3 Beacons. First one to it is Rhodes, looking for Palma. Palma has provided a lot of energy off the bench, trying to make a pass there rather than a shot. Either way, Gierschik forced to pick it up. Still 4:04 to go in the first half here of the Beacons' 2018 home opener. That one is cleared out of bounds by Gierschik, aiming to find West. West making her 5th appearance of the year off the bench, has 6 shots to her name. Handled by Olivia West and Babson. Ball booted forward right onto the foot of Ryan, the goal scorer, and back for West. West playing Oki. Oliver gets a touch, but Oki able to hang on. Now it's Crawford. Crawford double-teamed and loses it. Handled by Babson. Crawford gets it right back, fights through a player. Crawford tees up a right-footed shot well wide. Allie Crawford did a lot of good work to get that far, but unable to put the ball on target. She's still looking for her first collegiate goal, and the Beacons will use one of their final substitutes here in the first half. It'll be Katie Pasquale, who played her high school soccer alongside Mary Jo Murphy. She'll be on the same side, replacing Morgan Palma on that left outside forward spot.
Yeah, and after that play, you saw Morgan limping a little bit. You know, she's coming off a preseason injury, and you got to wonder if that's probably still bothering her and why she didn't get the start today and only got a couple minutes of action.
Roseman did so much good work, but was surrounded by green jerseys and then tried to slip it out wide for Rhodes, who didn't have a chance to win that foot race. Babson doing a great job of recovering and putting bodies back. 2:35 to go here in the first half. It's been a competitive one, but the lone goal coming from Babson's Catherine Ryan, her team leading 3rd goal of the season. About 20 minutes in has been the difference. Jackie Turner looking for an option, looking for Roseman. Instead, it's easily collected by Janikis. Now Janikis will look to lead the attack. Janikis sliding it forward for Ryan. Beacons will try to slow her up, but it's right back to Janikis and Kenya Wade, the center back, forced to step forward. Is anyone going to fill that hole? West playing it towards the middle of the Beacons D. It's tipped out wide, and the shot from distance ends up in the side netting on that effort from what looks like Addie Layler, number 7, although I don't remember her coming in. Another sub for Babson. They'll replace Ryan, the goal scorer, here late. And trying to get the number on that player.
I believe it's Jessica Fernandez.
Yeah, it's surprising that Fernandez is coming on this late in the half, just 95 seconds left. Maybe she's a bit banged up, but Fernandez is the team's leading point scorer this year. No, this is actually going to be Sydney McLaughlin, number 20 rather than number 24. McLaughlin, a freshman out of Sherburne, Massachusetts, who's making her 4th appearance on the year. Did have an assist in the opener, a 5-0 win over Illinois College. Janikis looking for McLaughlin, but a bit too strong, and picked up by McCulloch.
Remember when I said the Beacons defense was playing a little bit too flat? Seems like they haven't changed it yet, and I'm sure Amy Zombek's going to talk to them a little bit about that. But Kenny Wade gets sucked in a little bit too much, especially when 22 Olivia West gets drawn out with Jackie Turner. Carly Fahey and Mary Jo Murphy need to push back just a little bit to give themselves that depth, because the Beavers are going to want to make those runs, and the through balls are just going to work every single time, and that puts a lot of pressure on Abby McCulloch to figure out if she either needs to go for the ball or defend her net.
Layler was offside for Babson, officially in the game at this point. Double-checked And the Beacons have it with 28 seconds to go. It's out of bounds off the Beacons for a Babson throw with about 22 seconds left. UMass Boston just trying to keep this a one-goal game heading into the break. Babson playing it right through the legs there of Pasquale. Ball is still loose. Pasquale fighting for it with 12 seconds left. UMass Boston has it. Buscarin for Roseman, and the Beacons try to get it right back. Fighting for it at midfield. It's played back in an easy play for Lindsay. She'll just count out the seconds, and we head to the break. It's 1-0 Babson. Gigi, let's start with the positives. The fact that the Beacons had as many chances as they had, the fact that the Beacons have been able to play with this Babson program, all positives for UMass Boston. This is a much better looking team than a season ago. This is a much more competitive team than a year ago, but at this point, when you have those first 2 wins, when you're playing in front of the home fans, you want a little bit more. We're going to get greedy. What do the Beacons need to do to tighten up that defense and to potentially score at least 1 goal, if not 2, heading into the second half?
They got to play a little bit more organized, and Babson's doing a great job of drawing out the Beacons defenders and spreading the field, and that's exactly what a coach tells you to do when you're on offense. You want your wingers to get really wide. You want to spread out their defense and find those holes, find the through balls, and Babson's doing an amazing job, and the Beacons are just getting caught a little bit off guard. I talked about their defensive shape a little bit. I'm sure Coach Bob Meals is going to address that as well at halftime. Playing a little bit more organized is essentially going to get them to where they need to be. Their offense, they're getting their chances, especially at the beginning of the game. You saw Grace McGettrick have a couple of amazing shots, trying to get Gierschik off her line a little bit. One that hit the crossbar, which should have been in. That was an amazing play. You see Morgan Palma and Grace Oliver working really well up top, and Roseman and Jaclyn O'Grady, you wonder if she's going to come back. She brings such a dominant presence in their midfield, and the Beacons are just taking shots. You kind of want to see them take a little bit more shots, test Gierschik a little bit more, but essentially just get organized and try to connect those passes. They're getting 1 or 2 passes. The passes are getting cut off or going out of bounds. You get that third pass, and that could be the deal breaker to break the Beavers, their defensive line.
Well, right now, let's take a look at some highlights from Saturday's game. The Beacons earned their first win of the season, scored their first 2 goals of the season in a 2-0 victory over Western New England University.
Number 10, Jaclyn O'Grady. Number 13, Mary Jo Murphy.
All I ever wanted was to make you mine. I know that I love you, oh baby, why don't you see that all I ever wanted was you and me. All I ever wanted was to see you smiling. All I ever wanted was to make you mine. I know that I love you, oh baby, why don't you see that all I ever wanted was you and me.
Now give me a beat. Now give me a beat.
take a look at the halftime stats right now. Pretty even, especially compared to 2 years ago when Babson held the Beacons without a shot on goal. Shots 9-7, 4-2 in shots on goal, but you have to remember that a shot that hits the crossbar does not count as a shot on target. So Grace McGettrick's look early on, which was probably the Beacons' best shot on target, certainly beat the goalkeeper, but bounced right back. That one doesn't factor into the Beacon shots on goal. Saves pretty even, corners even, fouls minimal. Realistically, it's been a pretty clean game, and honestly, Beacons dominated 5 minutes. Babson got into the game. They probably controlled the last 40 minutes, but a lot closer than we've seen the last couple of times these two teams have faced off out in Wellesley.
Yeah, the stats don't really speak much for what's been going on because a lot of the game has been played in the midfield and a lot of opportunities that both teams had that they just couldn't capitalize on, and that's soccer, you know, it happens. But Coach Amy Zombeck is definitely going to tell her team that they need to come out right now, guns blazing. They have nothing to lose. You know, you're down 1-0, you go down 2-0, that's still a loss in the books. You know, yeah, it is by one more goal. Maybe your goalkeeper is really the only one that gets affected by that with her goals against average, but a loss is a loss, and right now they have nothing to lose. Go forward, attack the Beavers' back line, test Gierschik a little bit more, and try to get some more shots up on net because they have the talent to do it. And surprising seeing Lindsay Buscarin come in so late into that first half. Might see a little bit more of her in the second half. Coach Zombeck liked to say that they were splitting time. They're both, McGettrick and Buscarin, such good center forwards. They really like to burn out the Beavers' center forwards, and Buscarin adds a little bit more of that that presence. You know, she's got, I believe she has a stronger shot than McGettrick does, but McGettrick really tires out their back line. So see a little bit more of her, and if she can get a couple shots on frame, Gierschik is really going to have to respect her.
Yeah, I think the gameplay here in the first half, the Beacons were trying to emphasize their speed, which Grace McGettrick helps a little bit. But if you can get that back four, especially if they're going to stay the same for head coach Nellie Pinault throughout the game, then maybe you can tire him down, and Buscarin provides sort of a little bit more of the thunder. If you're talking about a football analogy of a thunder and lightning running back situation, these kind of a similar thing. Right now we're going to take a look at some highlights from the volleyball team. They improved to 5-0 on Saturday with a 3-0 sweep of the University of Maine Presque Isle.
Bar for Strobe, leading the way for the Presque Isle Owls, is digging that one out and setting it up now. Here's Hosky, gets it over the net, dug out. Kianko sets up She, looking for the kill, and a good dig made there by Thweet. But the Beacons do answer back. In the middle, standing tall at 6'2", she and Casey Shea, both 6 feet 2 inches tall to lead the team. Kianko digs that one out, and a beautiful move to set up Sarah Doyle. And for the visiting Owls, here's A-Roz. Her first service of the afternoon, dug out by She. And then getting set up beautifully for the spike there was Doyle. She's now in the back in front of Birch, who will continue to serve for the Beacons. It's 20-4 UMass Boston, and another ace now for Sydney Birch, 18, as this one is set up by A-Roz. Spiked down there by Washington Duck, dug out smartly by She, far side. Good play and an effort made for UMass Boston, as tipping that one in is Ava Campano. Continues to improve from the service area. As that one is another ace for UMass Boston, but hey, stick with what works, as A-Roz goes far side for Hosky. Star partially deflected up front. Elliott, ooh, she fools the defense and me, as she almost looked like she was going to set up her teammate. Instead, she just went right over the net with the overhand, or with the open-handed tap. But 18-5 Beacons, set number 2. As another ace from Ariana. Listed at 6 feet tall. Margaret Dickinson second at 5'11". The Beacons with the height advantage significantly. And there's a beautiful play from the service area. Still letting kills by Eileen Sheet. She's got almost a 44% hitting percentage as Dickinson gets it over. Dug out by Kianko. And good play as the Beacons see Kianko and Commons setting up Tescarena from Colorado Springs, Colorado. 17-4 Beacons, as that was Francis delivering her first service at home for a Beacons young freshman, as there's Eileen Sheep punishing the ball and punishing Maddie Thweet. 20-5, excuse me. I haven't updated the official scoreboard above the court as that one is delivered there by Kassengal. Bar for Strobe, leading the way for the Presque Isle Owls, is digging that one out and setting it up now. Here's Hosky, gets it over the net, dug out. Kianko sets up She, looking for the kill, and a good dig made there by Thweep. But the Beacons do answer back. In the middle, standing tall at 6'2".
Take a look around the rest of the conference. Couple of games already finished, couple of games still underway. The 7 o'clock contest. Southern Maine wins 3-0 over Salem State. So the Huskies continue to cruise. We'll see how they do when they open conference play, but I believe they're 4, maybe 5-0 at this point. Bridgewater State led 3-0 at half. They won 4-1 over Rhode Island College. Springfield and UMass Dartmouth tied at 0. And Brandeis leads EastCon 1-0. Brandeis, their women's soccer program, has been to the Final Four over the last couple of years ago. So is their men's program. So nothing to feel bad about for EastCon, but they're right in that game after defeating Babson the last time out 3-0. And remember, Brandeis will head to Babson on Saturday in the first home game of the year for the Beavers. Take a look around the rest of Beaconville. Well, the men's soccer team held a 1-0 lead. First collegiate goal for Bruno da Silva, but then a couple of PKs did not help the Beacons. Emerson scored on a PK, and then in the final 3 minutes of regulation, the Beacons did not convert on their PK opportunity, so that game is in the first overtime. Volleyball travels to Wellesley tomorrow looking for a big win as they now sit at 5-1 on the season. Women's tennis opens conference play on Saturday at 1. Take a moment to look ahead as we still have about 2 minutes and 45 seconds before the start of half number 2. The Beacons will make a short trip down to Wentworth Institute on Saturday at noon before hosting Emmanuel College. Emmanuel College head coach Greg Vizino, the longtime associate head coach at UMass Boston, and one of his assistants, a former Beacon, Kerry Alexander, were here at least for the first half. Then the Beacons will open up conference play against Western Connecticut State next Saturday at 4 here at home and travel to Castleton Wednesday the 26th at 7 p.m. And Gigi, a lot of times you talk about easing into the season. Well, the Beacons basically have 2.5 more games to get ready because you face the team picked second in the conference, then the team picked fourth in the conference, and if you start 0-2, your chances of home field advantage, at least in that new tournament bracket format where the number 1 seed hosts the semifinals and finals, are out of the window. And then your chances of potentially hosting a quarterfinals game means that you're really not going to be able to give up too many more games. So a lot of pressure on this Beacons team to tighten up some of the things that we've seen them struggle at over these next 2.5 games.
You're absolutely right, Seth. But something that's good about the Beacon schedule right now is they just got off this tournament win at Husson University where they got 2 great wins, boosted their confidence a little bit. Now they're playing a very strong Babson team, and that's what's going to get their kinks, like the nooks and crannies out. You got to get the kinks out of the way right now so that when you face a team like Western Connecticut, although they did lose their leading scorer in Autumn Soros, you got to expect them to have a strong program. They're known for having a strong program, a high-octane offense, and the Beacons are definitely going to have to assess that. But the good thing that they bring is that none of the teams in the LEC, they don't know what to expect from this new Beacons team. You're bringing in so many freshmen that it's so hard to scout a team that's bringing in so many freshmen because you don't know what to expect from these players. And having a team that's starting, like you said, 10, sometimes even 11 freshmen in their starting lineup, it's going to be really hard for these teams to scout the Beacons, and they're going to be able to come out guns blazing and try to catch these teams off guard.
Well, the other tough part when you talk about a team of freshmen is that a team of freshmen has the chance to get better much faster because you have so many players taking individual steps in their game. So the Beacons today and the Beacons next Saturday, when we're talking about 9-10 days, could look very different just because a lot of players take small steps forward in their game, and they do so as a team as well.
Well, you went from the Beacons getting shut out in their first 2 games against Johnson & Wales and Wesley College to scoring 4 goals in a weekend. So you really can't say much that, if they lose to Babson, that there's a probability that they'll lose to WestCon, because these girls also, they've never seen WestCon. They don't know what to expect it's only word of mouth, and every team changes every season, so not much to expect. I believe the girls have the will to win, and Amy Zombeck's going to fire them up to try to get as high as they can in the LEC.
Well, certainly sometimes it's better to not have that experience just because you don't have the intimidation factor of knowing how good WestCon has been over the past couple years. WestCon, the winner of the LEC tournament in each of the past 2 seasons. It'll be Babson going from left to right here in the second half, and they will start with the ball. For UMass Boston, they're playing McGettrick, Palma, and Oliver. So Palma and Oliver started off the bench in the first half, but they will get the start up top. Ocampo has moved into the midfield alongside Crawford and Pitts. This is the Beacons 3 that have worked the most together, and the Beacons back 4 from left to right goes Mary Jo Murphy, Carly Fahey, Jaclyn O'Grady, and Taylor Biliak. So O'Grady, who started the game in the midfield, will now be one of the 2 center backs, and that's the example of maybe the experience of O'Grady. Last year playing as a center back, one of the more vocal Beacons, trying to help that shape of the Beacons back 4 as it's turned over there by UMass Boston's McGettrick, and coming off her line is Gierschik to knock it as far as Pitts.
And I'm going to love to see Jalila Ocampo in the midfield. I love the kind of soccer that she plays. She knows what to do with the ball when she gets it. She, for a girl who I believe is 5'2", 5'3" at best, she is tough. She will not let you push her off the ball, and she is great at winning the ball back. And never mind having great foot skills, she's going to work really well with McGettrick, Palma, and Oliver up top.
Long foot race, and it's McCulloch who just safely will put that ball out of bounds as O'Grady had a step or 2 on the Babson player. I believe that was Ryan who was running with O'Grady, and it was. But McCulloch takes the safe option and will just knock it out of bounds. Babson with it along the far flag, across towards the box, and it goes off the side netting. That one would have ended up just underneath the bar if it was on target. McCulloch with the quick restart, and they're going to send her back. The ball never actually stopped spinning. Seen that a lot this season, a couple times with the men's soccer team. Teams trying to get the quick restart, but referees being very particular. The ball has to be at a complete stoppage, which is the letter of the law, but sometimes it's frustrating when teams are trying to take a quick advantage. On the restart, ball booted out to midfield where Maite Gutierrez settles for Babson. Played back for Lindsay. Done a nice job alongside King as the 2 center backs for Babson. Crawford with the interception, loses it, but it's handled there by Biliak. Ahead for Oliver and right back at midfield. Biliak looking for Crawford and able to slide it for Oliver, who, a little bit of mixed signals there. Pitts took a step. Crawford was in the vicinity, but ends up with the Beavers. 42-45 to go in regulation. Babson took a 1-0 lead 20 minutes in, and here's Fahey going hard to the turf, and then Biliak comes over to recover. Ball headed over towards the corner flag, and it will end up out of bounds for a throw-in rather than the 3rd corner of the day for Babson.
That really looked like a foul there on Fahey. Maybe Catherine Ryan gave her a little too physical, a little bit of a shove there, but Fahey goes down like that, and that's a great play by Taylor Biliak, at least to play until they're whistled. You know, a lot of players usually see a player go down and they start complaining to the ref, but rather Biliak plays the whistle, gets the ball out of bounds, and luckily the Beacons don't get scored there.
Goal kick coming for Abby McCulloch, the reigning Little East Conference Goalie of the Week. First Beacon to be honored this week with a weekly honor. Biliak playing it forward, but with a lot of pace. Long run coming from Palma, putting pressure on Lindsay, and it's going to end up out of bounds for a goal kick, but that was a really good effort from Morgan Palma to nearly earn the corner kick.
And you love to see that, and you see Coach Amy Zombeck switching McGettrick and Palma. Palma usually plays as one of the outside forwards, and McGettrick as her center forward, switching that up a little bit, maybe because Palma brings a little bit more of that speed, and McGettrick can kind of put a little bit more pressure on the outside aspect and play well with Ocampo.
Lovely through ball there, but the Beacons had a step, and O'Grady will play it out wide. That was a no-look ball over the top, and the Beacons fortunate that their defense was aware to it. On the throw-in, it'll be Gutierrez, who's going to take a couple steps forward according to the AR. Gutierrez will try to find a teammate. Fahey with the first touch. McGettrick unable to get there in time. Another throw-in coming here for Babson. Still 40-52 to go in regulation. As the Beavers look to improve to 4-0-1 all-time against UMass Boston and continue this impressive scoreless streak against the Beacons. UMass Boston unable to score in the first 110 minutes, a 0-0 double overtime tie in the 2014 season opener between these two sides. And then in each of the last 3 seasons, UMass Boston shut out over 90 minutes. So coming in, it was 380 minutes. Add in another 45 plus, and you're looking at about 430 minutes of scoreless action for UMass Boston against this program in 5 all-time meetings. O'Grady, a soft touch, but right into the path of Maggie McCabe, and it's played out for a Babson throw-in.
Maggie McCabe here listed as a midfielder, playing a little bit more of that center forward. Maybe her and Ryan work really well together, playing off of that center back.
Well, they don't have Deneen out there to start the second half, so that could also be it, as the shot ends up going wide of the net, and that one was out for a goal kick. Short goal kick that ends up being settled down by Babson, and then Pitts had a runner on the far side, had Oliver, but instead found the body of a Babson player. Bilyak tries to play it through 2 layers of defense. It's slowed down by Janikis. Babson asking for a handball, and instead it'll be Babson with it along the far side. Shot ends up on the wrong side of the near post, and the Beacons very fortunate there. Babson was screaming for a handball, and instead nearly ended up with their second goal, as we'll see Grace Oliver come off very early here in the second half. We're just about 6 minutes in, so she might be ailing a little bit after sitting out on Sunday, and she's replaced by Shannon Rosemond. Beacons get a little bit faster outside, but a little bit less skilled.
And I'm not going back to that play by Cal Pitts trying to get that over-the-top look to Oliver. I don't really blame her for it.
Dangerous clearance there by Pitts as she centers the ball right onto a Babson player's chest. Beacon's not out of danger yet. It's McCabe still with it, leaving it off for a teammate, looking for a left-footed cross. The hesitation move. Bilyak broke her ankles there. Fortunately, she's okay. And the low shot, an easy save for Abby McCulloch.
And a big thing that the Beacons need to work on is not diving in on that first step. Do not get fooled by a simple move that the Beavers do.
Roseman trying to feed Palma. Palma in a foot race. Palma with the right foot has teammates there. Cuts back, left-footed shot, and it goes off the chest there of a Babson player. The Beacon screaming for a handball, but it was right off the hand that was in front of the chest. There's no way you can call that. And then there's pushing and shoving there along the sideline with McGetrick combining with Jessica DeLuca. Should not have been a handball there as the hand was drawn in along the body, but the Beacons will get either a throw-in or a free kick, and that was the Beacons' best chance of the game as Palma drew the ball back, but a great job by a Babson player to step into it, and we will see a free kick, the combination of Mary Jo Murphy and Allie Crawford over top of the ball.
I say Crawford hits this one.
Crawford is going to leave it off for O'Grady with the player coming in from behind. Dangerous, and it comes back out. That could have been a lot worse as Babson could have countered. Instead, it's just cleared out towards midfield. Fahey, dangerous ball. Here comes Palma again, and coming out is Gierschik, but plays it along the turf, and the Beacons unable to find the loose ball. Babson with numbers going forward. Along the far side, it's Janikis. Janikis for a teammate looking to beat Bilyak, left-footed ball shot, score off the inside of the post. It's Deneen. What a beautiful shot from Deneen from 20 yards out at the edge of the 18, and it's Deneen making it 2-0 off the pass from Janikis. The Beacons nearly had their first goal. Instead, it's 2-0 Babson on a tremendous finish from Emma Deneen.
If you're Abby McCulloch there's absolutely nothing you can do on that play. I don't think a goalie that's 6'3" could have made that save. That was an absolute bullet from Deneen. Textbook soccer, what you want the Beavers to do on that counterattack. They saw the Beacons on that play, and honestly, I don't know why they ran that play again. You saw it not work in the first half. Take your chance at throwing a ball into the 18-yard box. You might get a penalty. You might get a header. You never really know what happens. But playing these balls like this, the Beavers perfectly executed, caught the Beacons on the off guard. Mary Jo Murphy's just going to dribble through 9 players by herself, so why not?
So the Beacons find themselves behind 2-0. UMass Boston made a substitution after the goal. It was Kenya Wade coming on for Caroline Pitts. That'll push O'Grady into the midfield where she started the game. And Wade will fill that center back position alongside Carly Fahey. UMass Boston's had their chances to start both halves. The Beacons have been the better starting team. Problem is Babson's been the better team in the middle and the end of halves as they now lead 2-0. Still 35-54 to go in this game. And at this point for UMass Boston, just got to find that first goal.
And you can't help but wonder how the momentum would have changed if Morgan Palmer had scored that goal. And I know that she did absolutely everything in her power that she could. She deked out 3 players to get herself in that position, and it was essentially luck for the Beavers that, they got a chest in front of it and a body in front of it, or else Palma would have had her first goal of the season. But if the Beacons get a chance to score on that play or on that 2-minute run in the offensive zone, the momentum of the game would have completely changed. And that's basically what this game is going to be about. It's going to be a swing of momentums, and Grace McGettrick here on this beautiful run.
Murphy finds McGettrick at the edge of the 18, 1v1 with King, crosses it, and the ball's loose, bobbled by Gierschik, and she's able to pick up the loose ball. Running across her body there was Roseman, but unable to tap that one home is Gierschik today. I mean, she's a senior keeper, played every minute last year, every minute this year, but she's looked a little bit shaky at points today. She's made some nice saves, but I don't think we've seen her best soccer as Crawford handles it. Back for Carly Fahey to the near side for Murphy. Mary Jo 1v1 against the defender. Still working with it. Cuts back inside. Looking to dart back to the outside and loses possession. Good work defensively by Catherine Cullen, who scored a goal against the Beacons a year ago. Babson won 2-0 in 2015, 2-0 in 2016, 3-0 win a year ago, and now they lead 2-0 in this one. The Beacons have played a much higher level of soccer today, but a little bit unlucky as they've let some good chances go, and Babson has been deadly on their opportunities. Headed forward, but only one player in the vicinity. That was Cullen against 3 white shirts, and the Beacons able to find McCulloch, who has been very busy today.
And Grace McGettrick's playing with a little bit of chip on her shoulder. She got thrown to the ground over there and exchanged a couple words with, I believe it was Maite Gutierrez or whoever on
I think it was Jessica DeLuca, number 19.
Jessica DeLuca. And, getting a little bit more physical. Obviously, emotions are a little heightened, but nothing wrong with playing with a little bit of chip on your shoulder. And if I'm Coach Amy Zombek right now, I'm sending an extra player up forward to try to put more pressure on this Beavers back line.
Great ball through, and there's a shot from McCabe that stopped. And McCulloch is claiming there was either an offside or a handball. Never saw the referee's flag go up, but the second opportunity wouldn't have counted, so I believe they're going to give the offsides originally there, as it's DeLuca on the turn here. DeLuca out wide for Deneen, who scored that beautiful goal where she pinged the near crossbar from the far side, and now stepping forward is Crawford to break that play up. Crawford will just bang a ball towards midfield. The lone player there is McGettrick, working against Lindsay, trying to get the turn, playing it out wide for Roseman, and again, Gierschik has been great at coming off her line and breaking up Beacon's opportunities. McGettrick gets into it with Janikes on the far side, who picked up the assist. For Deneen, that was her 3rd goal of the season to tie Catherine Ryan for the team lead. She now has 16 goals for her career. McGettrick let that one go by for Ocampo with speed, right-footed shot, tipped, and it'll go wide for a Beacons corner.
That's a great move there by McGettrick and a great run by Ocampo. Those two seem to work really well together, and these are the chances that the Beacons need. This is what they need. Get a corner kick, try to put a little bit more pressure, let the Beavers know that they're there. Get a little bit more physical even if that's what it takes.
Still 32 minutes left to go. It'll be Crawford to take it. The Beacons are in a stack at the top of the 18. The lone player in the box by herself is McGettrick. Played towards the middle of the box, headed away by a Babson player on the turn. Palma sends it off the back there of Gutierrez for another corner kick. So the Beacons had 2 early corners within the first 5 minutes, and now they add 2 more with Allie Crawford running all the way across the field to take it from the near side this time. It'll be Crawford. Freshman out of Kingston, Mass. Sending it towards the back post. The sea of green shirts there. Now a chance to go the other way as Deneen, the lone player on the far side, trying to feed a teammate in Cullen. Cullen gets the turn on Wade, but a good job from Fahey to break up the play.
And that's the last thing that the Beacons would have needed, is get caught on that counterattack or that 1v1. Carly Fahey ultimately coming up for the win. That's a great step for her there.
Ocampo with the loose ball, unable to hold on to it. It's Korzik playing it backwards. Crawford, a karate kick effort to get that loose ball, but unable to handle it. Playing it forward off the foot of Ryan, who scored what right now would be the game-winning goal. Ocampo for Crawford. Crawford right at midfield with advantage being played. Sends a ball out wide, looking for Roseman, who's not going to have quite enough, and it goes just barely over the goal line for a goal kick.
I just ran out of some turf there a little bit, but you love that play. You love to get the offense, the pushing up, and they know that they need to score right now. There are 30 minutes left in this game. 2 goals is nothing. In soccer, you can score 2 goals within 30 minutes. Heck, you can score 2 goals within 5 minutes. We saw the Beacons do that to win the Husson University tournament. So this team is not down for the count right now.
O'Grady breaks up the play, but unable to get a second touch as the ball goes out of bounds. Beacons have trailed by multiple goals just once this year. That was for the final 2 minutes of that season-opening loss to Johnson and Wales when they gave up a goal in the 86th, another one in the 87th, and eventually fell 2-0. Fell 1-0 to Wellesley. Beat Western New England 2-0, and then eventually defeated Elms 2-1 after falling behind 1-0.
Nice move there by Murphy, and she's just a train. She's not afraid to go by 2 or 3 people. She uses her speed. She has amazing foot skills, knows where to be on the field, and you love to see her join the offense a little bit. I know Coach Zombek is playing her as an outside back, but with a player with that much talent, you wonder if she's
with
ever
a
going to move
chance and
forward.
a big save from McCulloch. McCulloch had to come off her line there as Deneen was working against Wade. Out wide is Roseman, has McGettrick making a run and finds her. McGettrick 1v1 with King. The edge of the 18, tries to leave it for Palma, but there were too many bodies back for Babson. Campo was in there as well. Beacons are trying to make passes that work in practice, but Babson is alert to the passes that UMass Boston's making. They're making the same ones on the opposite side. It'll be McCulloch sending it upfield for Roseman, but Roseman clearly looks a little bit fatigued as she let a Babson player run past her to pick up that loose ball. Roseman battling with Janikes, and Janikes will bring it back to the near side for McCabe. McCabe trying to slide that one all the way through, but a nice play by Biliak. Got the start in this one as an outside back. Babson player goes down, no call. Crawford playing it towards the far side, and who else? It's Gierschik coming out. There's a foul here, and they're going to call that one on Gierschik.
Absolutely.
It's going to be just outside the 18. Gierschik is down, but she made contact there with Grace McGettrick, and this could be pretty bad for Babson. Now, the positive is we don't know how bad Gierschik is, and they have a very competent backup, but it's not often that you see a goalie get called for a foul like that, and she came out with a lot of speed, but you have to be the first player there. Otherwise, the foul is going to go against the goalie, and it's a good play by McGettrick to continue fighting rather than just give way because the goalie's coming out outside the box.
And I think a big part of the reason as to why that call was on Gierschik, she's outside of the box. That is not a foul that is inside of the 18-yard box. If it were inside the 18-yard box, then the goalkeeper, if she's going for the ball, has priority of it. That call probably would have been on McGettrick. But when you get Gierschik coming in, there are 2 incoming players. At that point, it's just soccer. You're gonna have collisions. It's gonna happen, and both players are pretty strong. It's just the way, it's physics really, on the way that both of them went up. But on a play outside of the 18-yard box, you treat Gierschik as if she's a field player, because she loses her, I guess, comfort zone of the 18-yard box, where a lot of the calls would be towards her. And obviously, that was a nasty collision there with both players. And unfortunately, you see Gierschik still down. The trainers are looking at her right now, and I'm sure that she's going to still want to play. It's her senior season. You know that she's going to want to be out there for her team. But with her team winning right now 2-0, and the confidence that Coach Penault has in her backup goalie, Mycock, I wouldn't be surprised if Gierschik comes out for this game just to get her a couple of minutes of rest, get her ready for Brandeis that's coming up on Saturday for them.
Well, you say that, but Mycock isn't warming up right now, at least not visibly warming up. Mycock saw a lot of time as a freshman, but hasn't seen any action the last 2 years, and that leads me to think that maybe there's a bit of an injury there, because when you play so many games, you figure you could get your backup goalie in a little bit, especially a competent goalie. So this could be an example of you only have 2 goalies on the roster now. You know this better than most. Field players can play goal. You had to do this last year against Babson in your first ever goalie appearance, as the Beacons lost their third-string goalie to a season-ending injury with the first 2 injured. But Gierschik gets up, being worked on right now by Kara Gustafson, the main Babson trainer for this women's soccer team. Alexa Capion over there as well for UMass Boston as the home trainer. But this is really interesting. Gierschik still being attended to. If she comes out, I'm not quite sure who would go in net. Obviously, with Mycock as the only other...
Looks like she is coming out.
Well, she's at least going to head to the sideline for the moment. Remember, you could bring her out and then bring her right back in, but someone else would have to put on the goalie uniform.
Hey, let me tell you right now, from firsthand experience, if you're not ready to go in and you're just thrown into a game like this with teams that aren't afraid to shoot the ball, it's a little bit rattling. You get a little bit, takes you a couple of minutes to get the feel for it, and it takes a couple of shots for you to really get mentally checked into this game. And if Mycock probably has a little bit more experience like that because she is a goalkeeper, but if you're going to throw a field player in there, which I doubt Babson would do, that's a lot for that player to handle in that moment.
Well, also remember, she's going to face, whoever is in goal for this next play is going to face a free kick from a really dangerous spot. This is at the edge of the 18 on the far side, about a foot, maybe 2 feet away. So this could be a shot.
They're throwing a field player in. They're going to throw a field player in net.
So there were 3 Babson players who were warming up with casts on their arms. And that leads me to believe that Mycock must have been one of those 3 players. So it will be a field player, and I believe it's Korzik, because Korzik was wearing that similar headband.
It is Korzik. She has her knee wrapped, and I believe that's how I distinguished her at the beginning of the game from the...
It'll be Jaclyn Korzik, the freshman central defensive midfielder, in, and Korzik listed at just 5'4", so a much smaller frame in net for this free kick taken by Allie Crawford. If you're UMass Boston, you need to put this ball on net, whether it's off of the free kick directly or if it's a pass looking to find a Beacon.
I don't know if it's a direct free kick or not. I believe it's indirect.
3-man wall. Crawford chips it forward right off the head of a Babson player. Babson a chance to break it up, but Crawford able to get back. Crawford runs back to the near side. Chips it and finds the foot of Murphy. Murphy with the player on her back. Gets a step. Able to find Crawford with space to shoot. Crawford off the back of a player. Ball still loose, and Roseman's not going to get there. The Beacons will get a corner kick. So a couple of good looks there, but nothing on target. And I'm sure the heart rate of Jaclyn Korzik has gone a little bit higher over the last 2 to 3 minutes as the freshman field player has been forced to play in net.
It's funny how things happen, right? UMass Boston throws in a field player last year, and now Babson forced to do the same thing, and I'm sure Korzik's mind is going a mile a minute.
Crawford looking for the head of Murphy, who goes just high. Mary Jo Murphy won the header over a Babson player, but unable to put it on target. Sure that Jaclyn Korzik, like almost every U soccer player, has played some goal in her life. The question is, when was the last time she was forced to play in net?
I don't even think it's that. I mean, a lot of players do have great hand-to-eye coordination. I believe that's one of the reasons Amy Zombek threw me in net. But
well, as a softball player, you should have some good hand-eye coordination, especially as a shortstop.
I would sure hope so. But it's not... Being a goalkeeper is a lot more than just catching the ball when it comes to you. It's knowing the angles of when to cut off certain players, especially on 1v1s.
Murphy for Ocampo slides it through, looking for McGettrick, and coming out and using her hands for the first time is the freshman keeper Korzik, who's the first goalie for Babson other than the injured Madison Gierschik to play since the 2016 season. So very Very strange situation for this Babson team and head coach Nelly Penault. I'm sure that they've had Korzik in net, at least at practice at some point, as Roseman earns a corner kick. The third free kick for the Beacons since Korzik's come on. Nothing on target yet. You have to put something on target and pressure Korzik and at least make her show that she can, as it'll be Grace Oliver coming in. And I'm a little surprised, Oliver from McGettrick, that Oliver's not heading over to the corner flag. She's the player I want taking this corner kick with
Especially
her.
with the lefty in-swinger.
Instead, the Beacons are going to try to pull off a short corner. Instead, it will be Crawford, a low-line drive over the head there of a Beacon, and it'll come all the way through. UMass Boston is not making the most of their opportunities.
They're not, but there is 25 minutes left in this game, and as it seems right now, I doubt that Gierschik will come back in. Right now, Babson is really relying on all 10 field players, and obviously also Korzik in net, but your field players now have to be that extra supporting hand with an unexperienced keeper in net.
Palma slides it through for Oliver. Oliver with three bodies in the box, and it comes through, knocked away nicely by Lindsay. Korzik, certainly you don't expect her to command her 6-yard box the way that Gierschik would as a experienced senior goalie. Great give and go there between Oliver and Murphy. Murphy driving towards the byline, cuts it back, looking for Palma. Can't get a shot on Ocampo's shot goes just wide, and they're going to say it went out for a corner kick.
And this is what you love to see from UMass Boston. You get so many chances, and they're making the most of it. Right now, if you're Amy Zombek, you're telling them, keep pressing, keep shooting, keep creating these opportunities. And that started with the give and go by Mary Jo Murphy. She is getting the Beacons going right now. When they keep getting these shots on net, one of them will fall eventually.
Crawford takes the free kick towards the back post, bounces off the head of a Beacon and out of play. I believe it was Murphy once again getting a hand on it. Mary Jo Murphy, the Beacons' left back, is their best offensive player at this point.
Yeah, and she's, nothing shy of her. She scored, 28, however many goals she had in her senior year in high school. Scoring goals for her it's not foreign.
Long boot from Korzik, who certainly has the leg to play net, but most field players do. Played out wide and kept just barely in by Bilyak, fighting with Deneen. Can't afford to turn it over right there. We've seen the superior left foot of Deneen, who was able to ding one off the near post on what was a beautiful second goal of the day for Babson. McCulloch telling everyone to push forward.
Super important thing for the Beacons right now is Babson, every time that they get the ball, are either going to try to hold on to it and possess it, try to get some time off the clock, and keep pressing as well. The Beacons cannot get scored on again.
Roseman to the back post looking for Oliver. Is going to have to take it out wide. Immediately pressed, and another corner kick. I believe this is the 5th corner kick of the half for the Beacons, who had just 2 in the first half. And the Beacons are showing a ton more energy and a ton more confidence since the injury to Gierschik, as they'll bring in Buscarin for O'Grady. The Beacons were without one of their 2 main center forwards for about 3 minutes. 22:41 to go, and Buscarin is one of those great options on this corner kick. A low-line drive from Crawford, headed up by a Babson player and out wide. And it's actually not Buscarin. It's Cal Pitts coming on, 29 instead of 36.
I believe they're going to put Morgan Palma as their center forward. You got Grace Oliver and Shannon Roseman on either sides of her.
Here comes Grace Oliver, and look for the in-swinger to potentially even go in for a goal. We've seen that during the Beacons scrimmages. Oliver has the strongest foot of any Beacons field player and a very good corner kick taker towards the center of the 6. Headed, but it goes the other way, and they're going to call a foul on the Beacons. There is another Babson player's down after running into Cal Pitts. So we're going to see the Babson trainer, who was already attending to Gierschik, have to run on. And down in the box is Jessica DeLuca, another senior for this Babson team.
Well, that's soccer. She's right back up, and you love to see that. You wonder if she's probably a little banged up. That's where you're going to get in contact. And I was about to say, as Grace Oliver took that corner kick, look for Cal Pitts here. She loves heading balls. She loves to be in the 6-yard box every time that there's a corner kick. You look for her. She's probably one of the tallest of the Beacons midfielders, which doesn't say much when you got Jalila standing there at 5'2". But she's one of the more aerial players along with Mary Jo Murphy, whereas Jalila would be one of those scrappy players that gets any rebounds off the ground.
Morgan Hedrick, the freshman out of Toronto, Ontario, will come on for Jessica DeLuca, who's out at least for this moment. You can bring her back in, as it looked like she might have been hit on the side of the face, and she's going to try to come back in sooner rather than later, it appears, as she stops right at the scorer's table. Oliver from Palma looking to get it back, working against the very talented Gutierrez. Oliver will send it off of Gutierrez. The Beacons certainly think they have the advantage now on these corners, but they haven't been able to put one on target since Korzik came on. It's been close to 10 minutes since we saw Madison Gierschik head out with an injury after she collided with Grace McGettrick outside the box on a play that Gierschik was actually called for the foul. Crawford, another corner kick, headed away by Babson, doing a great job of getting their bodies on the ball, and now it's Mary Jo Murphy leaving it off for Pitts. Once more back to Ocampo, sends a shot from distance, and that's the easiest save Korzik could ask for, as she's easily able to pick up the loose ball, and all the Babson players and all the Babson fans, a big, hearty round of applause.
And you see Allie Crawford there on the left side after she took that corner kick, screaming for the ball back. You get that ball back where Allie is, and that's another perfect opportunity. It might not be a corner kick, but it's pretty much the same exact thing, and that's another chance for the Beacons to get a shot on net rather than pushing back 30, 40 yards and Jalila Ocampo trying to take a shot from 25 yards out.
20:45 left as Palma tried to one-touch it out to Oliver. It's out of bounds off the Beacons, but I'm sure the Beacons coaches are screaming to pin them in here. Chance for the Beacons, if they can regain possession, to get it back in a good spot. Oliver is there as Babson player couldn't handle it along the sideline. And now stepping forward is Mary Jo Murphy. This Beacons team has had their chances, had them before Gierschik went out. Now it's been one chance after another. Murphy back post. Doesn't curl quite enough. Beacons asking for a handball. Not going to get it. Ball still loose. Tripping over the ball there is Palma, and it's sent out towards midfield where Fahey and Wade, who have had very little to do over the last couple minutes, will meet around Ryan. And now it's kicked back for McCulloch. Freshman keeper sends it into no man's land. Two Babson players there. Deneen already with one, a shot from distance. McCulloch makes the diving save as she tried to get back on her line. And the Beacons really couldn't afford to give up a third goal here with only 20 minutes left. McCulloch boots it out of bounds, and we're going to see, I believe it's DeLuca coming back in for Babson, and she is okay after going down in the box. She'll replace Naomi Oki, and for the Beacons, they'll bring back McGettrick, who will replace Shannon Roseman. On the throw-in, it's Babson along the near side, trying to find Ryan, who scored the first goal in this one. Babson with one goal on either side of halftime. Ball hit deep into the Beacons half, where McCulloch will pick it up. Typically, she likes to throw it out, but she's been a bit more aggressive with her boot today. It's Wade ahead for Crawford, immediately badgered by a Beaver. And now Wade, dangerous play there. Fortunate to be able to keep that ball alive as Ocampo is fighting with McCabe, and McCabe ends up finding a teammate on the far side. Crawford steps in front of that pass, and this is exactly what Babson wants to do. Keep the Beacons pinned in their own half as McCulloch, right at the edge of her 18, will send it out of bounds into the Babson bench. About a minute and a half, 2 minutes have elapsed since the last time the Beacons have been able to control the ball in the Babson half.
And you see there, I mentioned it before, the last thing the Beacons want right now is to give up another goal to Babson. And Babson's doing exactly what they're taught to do. Keep the ball in the offensive third, possess it. There are still 18 minutes. A lot can happen in 18 minutes of soccer. Try to kill some time off the clock, little by little. Put a little bit more pressure. Let the Beacons know that you're still in this game, that just because you have a field player in goal, that you're not going to give up and you're not going to let up.
17:55 to go. A sub for Babson came in at the last throw-in. It was Olivia West, who we saw in the first half, replacing Catherine Cullen. We've got a stoppage, and the Beacons are going to be forced to throw it in once again in front of the Babson bench. The shots right now are actually 15-14. Closest they've been since the 2015 season. The problem is the score is still 2-0 in favor of Babson. It's nearly bundling that one was Gutierrez, able to hang on, and now Babson will push forward. Wade plays it off her hip there on the attempted through ball and then gives it up. Wade has been little bit sloppy in the last couple of minutes, turning the ball over. Palma with options out wide, plays it over for McGettrick. Long run working against Janikis, and McGettrick able to play it off of Babson for another corner kick.
And you love to see that from Grace McGettrick. A lot of people would look at that ball, and a lot of players even would look at that ball from Palma and say, that's a little too much, and give up halfway. Not her. She's got so much speed, and she knows that she has that speed, and she has the athleticism and the body to fight off a defender and to earn that corner kick from the Beacons. Great job by Grace McGettrick.
This will be the 8th corner kick of the half, 10th overall for the Beacons. Grace Oliver to take it. Oliver, an in-swinger right in the middle. Pitts gets a head on it and sends it wide as the Beacons finally getting their head on some of these corner kicks, but have not been able to put a shot off of a free kick on target against Caitlin Korzik, who, if Babson holds on to this one, might be the hero without having to really do anything, as she's the first player to play in goal outside of Madison Gierschik since the 2016 season. Elizabeth Mycock, the backup, has not played in either of the past 2 seasons, and I'm at this point about 80 to 90% sure she's one of the 3 Beavers wearing a cast on one of their arms, so she's probably not available, at least for the foreseeable future. She's the only other goalie listed on the roster, so Korzik started this game in the midfield, comes on in net. Mary Jo Murphy throws it up there. We're not going to see Korzik come off her line. Palma fighting with the defender, that's Lindsay, and Lindsay will play it out of bounds. That's the benefit for UMass Boston. You go from an uber-aggressive goalie coming off her line to a goalie who has not left the 6-yard box and probably doesn't want to.
Nope, and honestly, if I'm Korzik, I don't really blame her. You don't want to get caught off guard and give the Beacons that simple goal.
Oliver tried to play across towards the center of the box. Instead, it goes over the goal line with 15:20 to go. And no one can probably describe this situation better than yourself, having to do it last year as a field player. You ended up playing in about 7 or 8 games, but that first time, I mean, what did your coaching staff tell you after the injury to Miranda Caruso? I mean, you came in behind 2-0, but still there's got to be a lot of nerves going on as Jackie Turner will come onto the pitch for Grace Oliver.
Well, I tried to be taught 10 years worth of goalkeeping within 30 seconds originally, and I was like, this isn't working out. I can't retain all of this information. So Coach Amy Zombek looked at me and she said, hey, trust yourself, trust your defense, and you don't have to make any of these outstanding plays. We need you to get there, talk with your defense, and the more that you can avoid getting shots on net, the better for you. And just, keep your eyes on the ball and trust yourself and trust your defense.
Beacon's making an interesting move there with Turner coming on for a forward. That means Mary Jo Murphy is now one of the 3 up top. Murphy leaving it for Palma, left-footed shot deflected. Murphy a shot, she gets knocked down. No call coming as Murphy looked like she may have gone down before the contact came, but Pitt steps forward and it's cleared out to midfield where all by herself is Ryan.
I've waited all season to see Mary Jo Murphy play as a forward, and we asked Coach Amy Zombek prior to the season beginning if MJ would ever play in a forward position. She said that no, MJ is right now playing 80 to 90 minutes as an outside back, does an amazing job there, but she's such an offensive threat, even as a defender. You wonder what she's going to do as a forward.
28 goals, 11 assists a year ago, 3rd in all of Massachusetts, the career top goal scorer at Burncoat High School out in Worcester. Murphy with it now, a player on her back right inside the 18. Slow plays it for Palma, right-footed, ball towards the outside. McGettrick couldn't get to it. The Beacons look goal dangerous right now with 13:19 to go. And the Beacons will bring on O'Grady for Fahey. O'Grady missed the first 2 games of the season. Looked a little banged up today, but again, O'Grady a little bit of a better communicator than these 2 freshman center backs. And a player who is very dangerous herself, one of the Beacons' top all-time point scorers right now, sits just outside the top 10. To the near side, a nice job by Gutierrez getting to that one. Maite taking her time, has space, and she'll take it across midfield. Toe pokes it forward, and it's onside there for DeLuca, the player who was injured, out of bounds off of lead. And you know that Babson is going to try to kill some clock here as they get a throw in close to the Beacons' corner flag. Gutierrez to take it. Time starting to become a factor here. 12:30 to go. There's enough for the Beacons to score 2 goals. They'd scored 2 goals in the final 6:43 the other day. But this Babson team a little bit better defensively than we saw out of Elms. Played forward, and making the safe play there is Maggie McCabe. Beacons will leave it for Jackie Turner. As Turner is looking for Ocampo, fighting there with McCabe, trying to slide it through for McGettrick. Sent out, and it's O'Grady with it. O'Grady will look to play her goalie. Instead kind of plays it in between Wade and McCulloch, and Kenya Wade will take charge. Wade has all kinds of speed, not really using it right now as she slides it forward for Biliak, her outside back. And now Wade will play a good through ball for McGettrick. Palma heading towards the box. McGettrick pulls back, left-footed ball towards the box. Knocked down by King and played out of bounds by the Beavers.
And the one thing the Beacons are lacking right now are bodies inside of the box. They want to have, you got 11 minutes left in this game. You want to have as many people as you want pressuring inside of that 18-yard box.
McGettrick does a great job to keep it in bounds, but no Beacon was there, and clearing it as far as Crawford, who's kind of gone silent over the last 5 to 10 minutes. Crawford working the sideline. She's playing a defensive role, and she gets taken out. That will end up as a free kick for the Beacons. Long ways out. On the free kick, it will be O'Grady to take it. Beacons sent a lot of bodies forward. The only 3 players back, Biliak, Wade, and O'Grady. O'Grady, a good ball towards net. It's over the head of Korzik, and a goal. What a beautiful ball by Jaclyn O'Grady, and that is the problem for Caitlin Korzik and Babson. You have an untested field player, and O'Grady, who scored a goal from 40 yards out a season ago against Framingham State, scores her 2nd goal of the season, the team lead, an unassisted tally, and there is still plenty of time left on the net, left on the clock with 10:37 to go. The Beacons, just their 2nd look on target against Korzik, and there wasn't much the freshman could do. Standing at just 5'4", that high ball is always going to be an issue.
I apologize to the folks at home for that little scream, but just got excited there seeing that kick. And Jaclyn O'Grady, and as you said it before, Seth, I watched her firsthand against Framingham State last year, dribble the ball through 5 defenders and take a shot from 40 yards out and go top shelf. She is such an offensive threat, even as a defender. She knows what she's doing with the ball when she gets to it. She relies heavily on her strong foot, and she knows she has it. Everyone knows she has it. The only person who didn't know was Korzik, and you can't really blame her for it. It's not her fault that O'Grady did that.
They want you to change the clock. I don't know what they wanted to change it to.
See a little stoppage here. I think we're talking about some time, maybe adding a little bit of time to the clock or taking some away.
So they're going to change the clock a little bit after that miscommunication. They're going to add 6 seconds, 10:27. And that could be the difference. I mean, 6 seconds could certainly...
We almost watched it happen against men's soccer against MIT about a week ago.
The referee seems to still not be happy with that time.
10:37.
And now they're going to add an additional 10 seconds onto the clock. So now you had 16 seconds.
Enter. Penny, how many buttons are you pressing? There we go.
And we are now ready to go. So after a bit of a stoppage, Babson will play it. And we are underway after the goal from Jaclyn O'Grady, a 40-yard bomb that ended up just over the head of Korzik, who threw her hands up, just unable to quite get there. Korzik, not one of the dozen players between the two teams who played high school basketball. Not that I think that would have made a big difference. So that was just a perfectly struck ball from distance. And forcing the turnover is McGettrick. We're one-on-one with King, and that shot slides just wide. But you can see it from Korzik, and you can't blame her. She doesn't look confident. She has her hands to her side. She's not in a typical goalie position with the hands out, making herself bigger. And right now, Babson's got to be desperate just to keep the ball away from net. Anything that goes towards net, the Beavers have to be holding their breath, as the Beacons all of a sudden look to be the more confident and the more dangerous of the two sides.
And you know the Beacons are going to come out guns blazing right now. They just scored a goal. You got 9 minutes left. You're going to give it all that you have, knowing that you have an unexperienced goalkeeper in net right now. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're pressing. And Grace McGettrick on that chance, she just put it to her left foot. I don't think that's her strong foot. I think she would rather hit it with her right boot. But she's got a little bit of a fan section here from Marshfield tonight, so I'm sure that they would love to see her get a goal for herself.
Maggie McCabe sliding it all the way out wide. Babson had held the Beacons. They led 2-0, and in a pretty even game before the collision between McGettrick and Gierschik. They certainly held the slight upper hand on the scoreboard and maybe the slightly better end of the play. It was pretty even, but ever since Gierschik collided with McGettrick, it has been all UMass Boston, both in chances and now with that first goal, as the Beacons will make a substitution. And it looks like it'll be Roseman for Palma as the Beacons continue to try to put speed up top.
And you wonder why we're not seeing Lindsay Buscarin more in the second half. We only saw her for 5 minutes in the first half. I wonder if maybe she's dealing with some injury. We haven't gotten word of anything yet. Maybe some injury, maybe feeling under the weather a bit. But a scenario like this right now would be ideal for Lindsay Buscarin.
Handling that one is Gutierrez. It's loose. It's midfield. And Pitts and a player McLaughlin just into the game nearly collide. Stepping forward is O'Grady. Just floats that one towards the far side and playing it out towards the sideline is Janikis, but not out of bounds. Nice job by Deneen to save that one, and that's the most obvious handball you'll see of the season as the Beacon just threw up her hands recognizing the ball was going over her. I'm kind of surprised a yellow card wasn't thrown there, as the Beacon wasn't even trying to make a play on the ball. That looks like it was
McGettrick.
Grace McGettrick. Maybe a bit fortunate there. Babson with it, trying to kill some clock. 7:30 to go. It's Deneen sliding it back for DeLuca, who also had to come off at one point, but entered the game about 90 seconds later. DeLuca, who has an assist to this one. In fact, had the assist on what now is the game-winning goal, the strike from Deneen that made it 2-0 early on in the second half. Tons of time here as the Beacons not pressuring the ball too hard, and West will take advantage of it. Beacons finally take it off the foot of a Babson player, but not before they're whistled for a foul.
And with 7 minutes left in the game, Seth, both teams are going to want to press. Babson knows that they don't have an experienced goalkeeper in net. They don't want the risk of sending this game into overtime because then that gives the Beacons the edge. Without Gierschik in net, Beacons right now have the edge over Babson. Maybe not on the scoreboard, but on the field right now.
Maya King on the free kick towards the top of the 18. Pitts the first player to it. Ball is loose. Fighting in there is Crawford with Deneen, and Crawford comes away with the ball. Crawford will play the long ball, looking for the speed of Roseman, who has two Beavers around her. Roseman driving, takes a right-footed shot. Korzik makes the save and holds on to the rebound as that ball was skittering on the turf for a moment. And it stays at 2-1 in favor of the visitors. Thing that we haven't even focused on is the Beacons scored about 5 minutes ago, is that's the first ever goal the Beacons have scored against Babson. So at least the Beacons have that for a positive as McGettrick tries to win a one-on-one battle with Janikis. Ball into the box. Korzik punches it away, but right into the middle of the 18. Two Beacons there, and it's cleared away. A brilliant clearance by that back four. This time it was Lindsay, as Babson is just trying to hang on for dear life. Down their starting goalkeeper playing a field player in net. This has been a bit nervy for the Beavers, who are trying to avoid seeing their winless streak stretch to 3.
Let's just highlight that save by Korzik because that was a game changer. That's a game-changing save, and there's so much adrenaline probably running through her body right now. That was a great save. She just kept the Beavers in this game.
And I don't even think it's a save statistically, but it's the first time we've seen Korzik step off of her line and make a play. That's a play you want your goalie to make. As Deneen has it out wide. Deneen tipped away by Bilyak, and they're going to say that it will stay with the Beavers.
5 minutes now.
Subs for both sides. It'll be Palma for the Beacons, and Babson bringing in a sub as well. Not quite sure who came in. Babson on the far side working with it is Ryan, who scored one of the 2 goals today. Nice turnaround Wade over to Deneen, the other goal scored, and it ends up out of bounds as Deneen couldn't hang on. 4:44 left in regulation. The Beacons trying to come all the way back from a 2-0 deficit, earn their first ever result potentially against this Babson side. West trying to get the turn, and they're going to say no foul on Jackie Turner, who sent West to the turf, at least it looked like. Turner along the sideline, still fighting, has options forward. West coming back, the cross is knocked away, and it's out towards midfield where the Beacons have numbers. O'Grady will just flip it back towards the 18, finds the foot of Palma. Palma has a body behind her, who kicks the ball loose. No call, much to the chagrin of the Beacons fans. Good defensive play by McCabe, at least in the estimation of our head referee. To the near side, it's Jessica DeLuca. Back for West, who's able to deke around Murphy for the moment. Still 3:54 to go. That's an eternity in a 1-goal game. Ball played across, and Crawford wasn't ready for it. Maybe a little bit of tired legs. Remember, the Beacons played 90 on Saturday, 90 more on Sunday. It's only Tuesday. A lot of soccer in a short span. Played out of bounds for a Beacons throw. Crawford looking for Roseman, who missed most of preseason, trying to get her transfer paperwork in order, and honestly that might help her as she might be a bit more fresh than some of the other Beacons players who had to fight through the 90-degree weather throughout preseason. West over to DeLuca, and the Beacons are not putting enough pressure on the ball. Babson is just able to play passes back and forth, and finally it comes out of bounds.
Yeah, and you took the words right out of my mouth, Seth. The Beacons right now with 3 minutes left, they need to give it all they got. I know they have tired legs. Most of these girls have been playing 90 minutes, maybe a little bit less, but you got to give it all you got right now, because all it takes is one run, one kick, one whatever it may be for the ball to end up in the back of the net.
Turner for Roseman, who loses that challenge with McCabe, and now it's going to come all the way back to McCulloch. A lot of yardage lost there for the Beacons. Deneen trying to slide it through for Ryan, and a game-saving tackle there from Pitts to keep this game at 2-1. We've already seen the scoring prowess of Ryan, who's on the ball right now against Pitts, but the clock down to 2:30. Babson has done a tremendous job killing the clock since the Beacons scored that first goal. Babson will take a substitution. That clock stops under 5 minutes with the leading team making a change. West comes off, and we'll see who's the new player on. It looks like Catherine Cullen. On the throw, and the Beacons battling, and Bilyak able to win it for McGettrick. Palma trying to play it back and finds McGettrick. McGettrick with 2 green shirts in front of her. Ball into the box, and Palma couldn't quite get there, heading towards the corner flag. It'll be sent out of bounds by Lindsay. McGettrick in for Bilyak, throws the ball towards the 6, and it comes all the way back out. Another clearance from Babson. Crawford fighting off a player, a left-footed pass towards the top of the 18, back to the near side. Still a minute and 45 seconds left in this game. Mary Jo Murphy off of her head, but a chance to clear, and King will fling it towards midfield, and it'll stay in bounds. O'Grady will try to play it over for Wade, a very dangerous play. Unfortunately, Pitts gets there as the Beacons back 4 has been playing with a bit of fire. Wade sends a ball through, but it's off of McCabe, and the Beacons will get a throw with 80 seconds to go. McGettrick can't handle that one. It's off the Beacons, and Babson will look to kill some clock here with a minute 13 left in regulation, hanging on to a 1-0 lead. Can the Beacons get another shot on target against Korzik? They've had just 2 of them here in about 20-plus minutes. Korzik coming off her line, easily picks up the loose ball with a minute to go. If you're Korzik here, you could hold on to this ball for 10, 11 seconds and take the yellow card. Sure, coach would be just fine with that. Instead, she sends a low boot, and now it's McCulloch coming well off her line, a long ball, headed down right into the feet of a Babson player, and that's a big break for Babson. Otherwise, it would have been loose ball. 35 seconds left. Turner looking for Mary Jo Murphy. Bumps one player off. King steps in, and now there's 30 seconds left. Beacons finally recognizing they need to push numbers forward. Palma in the box. Can't handle it. It's tapped forward. Ryan, the lone beaver there. O'Grady gets a touch. Ball is still loose with 18 left. Right along the sideline. Cullen Forward for Lindsay. McCulloch calling off Wade. McCulloch sends it forward with 11 seconds. A deep ball off the head of King. Roseman thought about the shot. Now she'll take a right-footed shot off the bar, off Korzik's head, and the ball is loose, and the Beacons won't have enough. A great effort with about 5 seconds to go, but Roseman's shot caught the far post, and the Beacons fall by the slimmest of margins in what was easily the best game these two teams have played since 2014. It's a 2-1 loss, but this Beacons team is showing that
Babson College 2, UMass Boston 1.
they're not going to be as much of an also-ran as they might have been over the past 2 seasons, as they fall just short in this non-conference meeting in their 2018 home opener.
That might have been, I said this against when men's soccer played against MIT, where I said that was such an exhilarating end to the game. This might have topped that. Actually, it does top that. That was absolutely great soccer in the last 5 minutes that the Beacons played that high-intensity game. And if you're Shannon Rosen right now, you can't be upset at yourself. That was a great shot from about 30 yards out. That was well outside of the 18. Korzik just got lucky. She got her fingertips on it. She saved the game by her fingertips. Bounced off the post. Didn't really get that lucky bounce. Came right back and off her head. And if you're the Beacons right now, you're wondering what you could have done more, maybe even in the first half, or capitalized on some chances in that second half. It comes down, they created all the opportunities that they needed to. It just came down to capitalizing and getting that last touch on net.
Well, you say lucky. I say Caitlin Korzik saved the game for her team. Talking about a freshman player who had not played a minute in goal all season, who was a field player listed as one, not even listed as a field player / a goalie, and to make, even to get us the smallest piece of that, a huge play for her team as Babson improves to 3-1-1. The Beacons fall to 2-3 in what was a very exciting game. The game totally changed on the injury to Madison Gierschik, and we hope that Madison is able to play going forward. A tremendous player who made some big saves for her team, but certainly changed when Korzik stepped in. Korzik did give up the lone goal, but able to hang on, and she helps her team earn that first win back in Massachusetts and avoid a 3-game winless streak. We'll take a brief audio break, get you the final numbers, and then we'll close out here on the Beacons Broadcast Network. Let's take a look at our final statistics. It shows that the Beacons dominated, at least in terms of shots. But, Gigi, realistically, this was a very tight game. Babson maybe held a slight edge when it was 2-0. As soon as Gierschik went out, the Beacons sensed a little bit of blood in the water, and they did what Amy Zombek would have asked them to do. Put shots, throw shots towards net, be aggressive, put pressure on Korzik. The only problem was they had all those shots, but not enough shots on goal, and Korzik was able to make the one big save with under 5 seconds to go to save the game for the Beavers.
Yeah, the only thing Amy Zombek could have asked more from her team would be goals, but that's not going to come every day, and you get the great shot from Jaclyn O'Grady, gets them on the board, they don't get shut out. You can't be upset with the soccer the Beacons played today. They turned it up. They played high-intensity soccer the last 25 minutes. They realized that Korzik was in net, unexperienced goalkeeper there, and, you couldn't ask for more from this Beacons offense.
Right now, let's take a look ahead for UMass Boston. A lot more chances to see the Beacons over the next couple of weeks. The Beacons will be at Wentworth on Saturday at noon, host Emmanuel College next Tuesday at 7 before they open conference play next Saturday at 4 p.m. against Western Connecticut State. Then they travel to Castleton two Wednesdays from now, 7 p.m. for that first road conference game. I'd like to take a moment to give a shout-out to our production crew. My name is Seth Renzi, your producer and play-by-play guy. Gigi Braga on color commentary. Kelly Danahy, your director. And Kira Pressmack, your camera operator. That'll do it here from Boston. The Beacons fall 2-1 in their 2018 home opener. Easily the best game these two teams have played since at least 2014 when the game ended 0-0, and probably ever. Seen quite a few of these contests. Babson still holds the all-time edge 4-0-1, but the Beacons certainly put a scare in the Beavers tonight. That'll do it for us, folks. Have a great evening.